Hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry I am late, but I wanted to go ahead and do a live stream to talk a little bit about the stuff that's kind of going on behind the scenes. We had some interesting likes and things like that. There's just some cool stuff going on, right? Like, who expected this to be in the middle of the night to kind of happen with these leaks and stuff like that? I certainly did not expect that to happen, and it is absolutely pretty interesting to say the least. So, I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to sort of get my ideas out and stuff like that, just to sort of kind of break the ice or whatever, and kind of just talk about what's going on in the world with Xbox and the reaction from Sony. This is what I live for, man. I like doing the live shows. I figured I got a little bit of time. Why not go ahead and branch out and talk about what's going on? So, that's what I'm going to do here. So, I think that's going to be the best thing for everybody. Again, it was late last night. Um, and, and so basically that's kind of what I wanted to touch base on. If you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and hit the like button, share it out. Hey, what's up, Tyriana? I appreciate it. Listen, I'm gonna wait for a few more people to filter in. Like I said, share it out, all that kind of great stuff. I really do think that this is good for gaming. All right, like as far as any I can tell, it's incredibly good for gaming, and um, you know, this is exactly what I've been talking about in terms of competition. Like Microsoft can claim that they're not in competition all they want, but at the end of the day, you know what? It is a competition, and they are obviously in competition with Sony. Um, Tech Life says, "Crap, what does this price point at $299 do for Xbox? Does it push consoles, or will they still collect dust?" Well, you know what? I do feel like, what's up, Eddie? What's up, everybody? I do feel like it could push some consoles with maybe some of the casual market. Maybe, I mean, $299 is a good price point. The only thing that I sort of really take a little bit of question about is, so you see this thing. First of all, I have to say it's not a very attractive looking console. Right, the Xbox Series S is not a very good looking console, in my opinion. It's the problem isn't so much with just how it looks, because that doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, who cares? It's in your entertainment center or whatever. It doesn't really matter. But it's an all digital console, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's a market for that, but it does cut your market in half right away. Okay, because believe it or not, half people like the ability to have physical content. So it already cuts in half your user base. The second thing that I noticed right away is this is a digital console with a 512 gigabyte solid state drive. That's right, it's only a 512 gigabyte solid state drive. So one of the more hypocritical things that I saw was the fact that, you know, this thing is going to require everything to be downloaded, and this isn't even accounting for the OS. Like, usually an OS takes what, 75, 100 gigs. I don't remember how much the OS takes in our current consoles, but I would assume that the OS takes a good piece of the actual solid state drive itself. So you could be looking at like 300 and something gigs total by the time that happens. So right away, you look at the price and you go, that is a good price. And they're advertising it all digital, 1440p, up to 120 frames per second, DirectX, ray tracing, variable rate shading, variable refresh rate, ultra low latency, custom 512 gig solid state drive, 4K streaming media playback, 4K upscaling for games. Now, that's very interesting that they're sort of talking about it that way. You know what I mean? I do really feel like that's something that a lot of people are going to have to kind of come to terms with. Like, when you look at this thing, right? It's it could do okay, but at the same time, anybody that's going to be that's going to kind of be into gaming, right? Like, in my opinion, this is maybe meant to fool some people, right? And I'll explain exactly what I mean. So everybody, as you filter in here, please like the video, share it out. We're just going to have some fun here today talking about this stuff, and I'm going to get to all your questions and stuff, so don't even worry about it. I've got time. It's going to be a good show. So you know, you see this on the outside, and maybe you're a casual and you go $299 for next gen. That's great, and it sounds great, okay. But the problem is with that hard drive, 512 megabytes or gigabytes, excuse me, is not enough to sustain this thing, right? So Game Pass, even if you're a Game Pass fan and you're like, wow, what a value, I can get this in Game Pass, right? So right away, you know, you're already going from $299 to what is it? Okay, so you're gonna go 300 to 480, almost $500 for Game Pass Ultimate for a year, because that's $180, and that's your Xbox Live Gold and your Game Pass for a year. So you're already at $500 almost. Also, if you're going to plan on using Game Pass, you're definitely going to need more space. Let's say you want to play Call of Duty or whatever, and I know that things are going to be compressed a bit with next generation. At the same time, this is a very interesting situation where, you know, stuff like Call of Duty is almost 200 gigs. Like a lot of, you know, you install a couple games and you're at your max. So we don't know the pricing of the expansion solid state drive. They're only going to be offered in 1 terabyte to start with, but you can imagine that they're probably going to be at least $100, $150. Some people are saying even more. So again, you were already at almost $500 for the 1S, for the year of Game Pass Ultimate, and now you're tacking another $150, $200 onto that as well. So you're talking at almost $700. So what seemed like a great deal turns out not being a great deal. You might as well have bought the X, and you would have had more hard drive space, and probably could have waited a little bit longer. I realize the PS5 and the Xbox Series X both don't have incredible big hard drives. I get it, and I get that compression is going to be a thing and stuff like that. But at the very same time, I also feel like this is a situation where at least those hard drives buy you a little bit of time, where I feel like buying the Xbox One S maybe doesn't buy you any time at all. So that could be realistically something that somebody sort of has to kind of take in mind. Eddie T says, I noticed they're not mentioning the T-flops in the marketing for the Series S. Yeah, I believe that the T-flop situation is actually going to be the 4 T-flops or whatever. Now, according to that or whatever, I think the T-flops stuff is realistically the whole T-flop situation is something that I don't know if that matters as much as it did before. The main reason being is I guess it's a different kind of measuring stick or whatever. So while technically this has less T-flops than, say, the Xbox One X, it's also more powerful just because of the architecture. I guess they're using the whole like velocity architecture and stuff like that. So that's something that I feel like, you know, it would be probably pretty interesting to a lot of people. So that's just kind of my opinion on it as well. Also, yeah, Tim, you bring up a good point. Microsoft is also doing the the all access stuff, which is like $25 a month or whatever for the Xbox Series S. I think it's $35 a month for the Series X, which is a pretty, you know, I guess it's pretty reasonable. I don't think that those are necessarily bad or anything like that. I think that those are actually pretty fairly reasonable pricing. It does put a little bit on Sony to get out there and announce something, and supposedly they're going to do something soon. The interesting thing is Microsoft wasn't going to announce this today. You know, they weren't going to announce this today. That wasn't in the plans. They were going to hold back on this or whatever. So if you guys didn't know, the Series S, they actually did a reveal trailer for it as well. It leaked ahead of Microsoft's reveal. This was overnight too, so the memes were incredible. I got to say, like, I love the fact that, you know, and this happened with Sony too. We saw a ton of memes with the PlayStation 5 reveal. Okay, it's nothing personal on those levels. It basically just has to do with the fact that that's what the internet does. You know, it's memes, it's jokes, it's all that kind of stuff. So, with that being said, they leaked it, $299 price point. Not only did we get that, but we also got confirmation that the Xbox Series X is $499. Which, to be quite honest, the funny thing is most people were pretty much saying that they thought that the S was going to be $299 and that the X would be $499, and that's exactly what we got. So there's no real surprise there. Now, don't put on your shock face when Sony comes out and announces the digital PS5 for $399 and the regular one for $499. Like, those are I think 75, 85% of people were already guessing those prices. And if those turn out to be true, I have to wonder, and I'm a little bit ticked off, what took so long? Right? Like, what took so long for this to be officially announced and finally announced? For me personally, it's like you scratch your head at it. Like, we could have had these announced and pre-orders done months ago, if that's the case. So that does tick me off just slightly, And at the same time, I do feel like, it's just sort of an interesting situation. So, well, yeah, listen, I'm not gonna like. Here's the memes are hilarious. TL, I have to agree with that. Yeah, $4.99 is apparently it's confirmed. So that's as far as I could tell. So it will be interesting to see like how that kind of works out for everybody. But for me personally, like if you're the main thing that I don't get and that I sort of have a little bit of trouble with is the fact that we keep seeing people like mostly Xbox fans, right? And they say stuff like, well, they said that the 825 terabyte hard drive on the PS5 was unacceptable, but now they're all for the 512 terabyte one, right? Like, or excuse me, gigabyte. I'm kind of out of sorts right now because I'm taking in all this information. So that to me was a little bit hypocritical to sort of see that kind of aspect, right? Like people are like the 10.3 teraflops of the PlayStation 5 was so weak and so worthless, but yet 4 teraflops on the Xbox Series S is perfectly okay. Like I will never get that. I totally do not understand that. For me personally, I just feel like that there's a lot of kind of hypocrisy going on, and I get it, man. Everybody is a hypocrite at some point. Everybody pretty much kind of says one thing or does another at one particular point in time, and that's just life, right? But at the same time, it's like you knew that this was going to come back to bite you because I said this a while ago, and Mooch really covered it. He said on Twitter, like you guys, you probably follow Mooch as well or follow me. We do M&C together and stuff like that. And he said on Twitter, he's like, almost every podcast has been talking about the Xbox Series S or Lockhart for well over a year and say it when it will launch at $299. Basically, any podcast that you can think of was saying this, $299. Even us, we were saying $299 is going to be the price. So also nailed 95% of the actual specs of this thing. The 4 T-flops, the only thing I think that we were probably missing is some people were saying maybe it wouldn't come with a controller. I didn't know that it would be 512 megabyte hard drive. Like that to me is like the worst thing. Like it makes you realize how expensive those things probably are. And then for them to put a whole gig in there probably would have cost another $100 them. So I mean, you can imagine. So the biggest part to me the biggest takeaway is now it's like, so Xbox reveals this and now everyone acts like it's a sneak attack, like Sony's gonna, they just crush Sony with this news, and I don't really necessarily look at it that way. I feel like if these companies sort of realize what's going on, like you have to figure Sony and Microsoft know a little bit what's going on with each other, okay? And so for this to sort of come about the way that it has, I just find it to be very, very somewhat frustrating because I'm a gamer and I'm a fan as well. So to see the way that it's sort of come about is a little bit, kind of underappreciated, I guess, for me personally. I think it's a little bit odd. But at the same time, you never know what these companies are thinking behind the scenes, behind the scenes, above the scenes, it doesn't really matter. What does Sony have to do? What does Microsoft have to do? We don't really know yet, Is this going to help Microsoft? Is it going to hurt Sony? I don't know if it's going to hurt Sony. Is it going to help Microsoft? I don't know if it's going to help Microsoft, to be honest with you. It could. We'll have to see how that sort of works out. I'm very much on that sort of level that I think that, that basically anything could possibly help Microsoft at this point. The main thing that Microsoft has to have is some kind of games. They have to have some kind of idea for their games. They have to have realistically something that they held back on, right? Like there has to be something that they held back on to realistically go out there and go, okay, this is why you need to buy an Xbox Series S. Now I get it that that this is something that some people might go, well, maybe this is good for some of these kids or something along those lines. And I think that would maybe be accurate, you know. I just really think that that's something that I personally would not do. I really do think that that's it would be each on their own. Okay, like if you have a kid or something, I think that would be a good option, $2.99 or whatever. But again, I think you also have to do, you have to take into account that the higher expense for Game Pass, the higher expense for the expansion right away, that could be something that a lot of people could actually go out there and sort of get away with. So, I mean, I guess we'll have to see how that works out, you know. But again, we don't really know for sure yet. We'll have to see. So I know for sure. Hold on. John P says, crap, you may as flip-flop now and get it over with. Why would I flip-flop? Dude, I fully believe that Sony is absolutely going to destroy Xbox next generation. I mean, it's not even in doubt. Okay? There's no flip-flopping. I go where games are. Maybe you guys should try it sometime, right? There's no allegiance. If Sony screws up, and Xbox has great games, I'll game on Xbox. If, Xbox continues to screw up, I'll continue enjoying PlayStation. The end goal is to be able to enjoy gaming on everything. To my point, and the point while I'm not hyping Xbox is, the last AAA exclusive that Microsoft launched was Gears of War 5, September 6th, 2019. We are now September 8th, 2020, meaning we are a year and 2 days past the point where Microsoft has released a AAA exclusive. So you can take that kind of nonsense about, flip-flopping and all that and stick it where the sun don't shine, my friend, because at the end of the day, it's all about the games. It's always been about the games, and it always should be. There should be no allegiance to a particular company. I see that now. Like, for me, I was very much an Xbox fanboy and didn't care about anybody else's opinion to the otherwise, okay? But the fact of the matter is, I'm only hurting myself if I'm so stuck on Xbox that I can't see past that to enjoy great games elsewhere. And I was able to break free of that Phil Spencer-ness and enjoy gaming on PlayStation. I still, believe it or not, prefer the Xbox ecosystem and things like that. I know people probably find that a little bit odd, but it's true. It's my preferred platform. It's just a shame that Microsoft has turned it into what they turned it into. It's absolutely a shame. Mr. Miracle says the Series Spencer leans, and it's Sony and PS5 is the one trending on social media. The hype for the Sony machine is unreal. Listen, I really do think that obviously the PlayStation 5 is going to sell out. It's going to do incredibly well. There's no doubts about it. Now, will the Xbox do okay? That's something I couldn't even tell you. I don't know if the Xbox is going to do okay. What do they have to offer? Like, I would love to see somebody in the chat tell me that, exactly what the whole purpose of the Xbox Series X or the S is for. Who is that intended for? No, dude, I'm not upset, guys. I'm not upset at all. I'm just saying, for somebody to, you get tired of the flip-flop comments and stuff like that. For me personally, I just feel like that's not what I'm about. Okay? It's always been about the games. I'm very upfront about this stuff. I said, listen, I was an Xbox fanboy. I blocked anybody on Twitter that had a different opinion than me, and I didn't want to hear it. Right? You didn't have to come at me with anything specific. I just didn't want to hear a different opinion besides Xbox was great. And that was wrong. And it wasn't until I started noticing the really difference in quality, that I really started to kind of notice and focus and play a little bit better on PlayStation 4 and my PlayStation 4 Pro. That was a point where, Microsoft was coming out with State of Decay 2, PUBG, Sea of Thieves that year, but Sony came out with God of War, Detroit Become Human, and Spider-Man, and if you don't think that there's a huge difference of opinion between those games, you're crazy. Now listen, Sea of Thieves shaped up to be a pretty good console, or a pretty good game. I'm not going to lie, it did. And not only did it shape up to be a pretty good game, but it ended up actually doing a pretty good job at adding content over the years. It's probably one of the better new IP from Microsoft. Well, it hands down probably is the best new IP from Microsoft. But again, it's not for everybody. Like if you're looking for something with if you're looking for something with like games, like a story or something like that, that's not exactly going to be something that's going to completely, blow you away. Like there's no story to that or anything, and it did lack content. Even though I enjoyed it at the beginning, you're playing it with your friends and you're drinking and you're having a good time. I felt like that was crucial. That was pretty important. Okay, for me personally, that to me was pretty cool, right? Like, but it took years for them to get to that point. Like, if you were to review Sea of Thieves right now, and I don't play it now, I haven't played it in over a year and a half, but from what I understand with all the updates and stuff like that, if that game would probably score an 80 something right now. But that just goes to show you why sometimes games as a service don't work out as much as you might want them to, or believe that they will, because games as a service traditionally are built to add content later, and which means they're usually light on content up front. And you can look at games like, Destiny 2, like these games were lacking content right up front. Same thing with Sea of Thieves, like Rainbow Six is another one. Probably Halo is one that was going to, suffer a little bit as well. Again, and that's not necessarily saying that these games are bad or that they're going to be terrible or anything like that. I just feel like, that they're different. And so, hey, as we get close to 400 watching, please hit the like button, share it out if you wouldn't mind. I would appreciate it. I don't do a lot of impromptu streams, to be honest with you, but I felt like it was worth doing this stream to sort of talk about what's going on with these new consoles and things like that. And I also do feel like Sony, they already came out and said, hey, we've got no new news to announce this week, right? So that's kind of interesting that they said, hey, we've got nothing to announce. But at the same time, they've kind of got to do something, right? Like you have this megaton out in the middle. Like people now know the price of the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X, and we know the release date. So November 10th. So we know that some of those release dates that we've seen were kind of not accurate, right? They weren't accurate release dates. We saw November 6th. We've heard November 20th. Sony has a little bit of work to do. I think no matter what Sony does, they'll be in a better situation because obviously they have, like Spider-Man Miles Morales. They've got, they got games coming. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to sort of see how that sort of works out. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this. The console obviously was going to be unveiled a little bit shortly, and I did link this if you guys haven't checked it out. If you're living under a rock, then, who knows. But as you can already guess, the Series S is an all-digital console. Microsoft's budget version of the Series X will have a form factor. It's actually very small. It's 60% smaller than the Xbox Series X. It's going to come with a 512 gigabyte solid-state drive. Other features that will be supported according to this are hardware ray tracing, variable rate shading, variable refresh rate, ultra-low latency, 4K game upscaling, and 4K media playback. Obviously, back in June, there was a lot of talk about this kind of stuff, and, now they made it official or whatever. Again, who is this for exactly? I don't really know. Maybe it's for somebody who has kids, or maybe it's for somebody that just wants to play, a little bit better version of Madden or Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever. It could be interesting. It's a very interesting play by Microsoft. So we'll have to see exactly who that's for and how that's going to work out for them. Sony, on the other hand, they're going to have to come out with some stuff as well. Mr. Tennis says, everyone seems to forget that all these PlayStation 4 exclusives will be able to be played on the next-gen system as a new gamer due to the pandemic. Yes, and thank you, Lily. I like you guys. I love you guys too, man. I appreciate it. Listen, everybody, like, stuff happens, right? I got to be honest. And I got to also be honest. Before, right? Like, and I never really cover this stuff, but there's somebody who kind of did a video about me the other day, sort of attacking me. And I don't really, it's been so long since that's happened, in my opinion, that I've been made aware of anyway. I mean, sure, there could be other people out there, and I've realized that people make fun of me all the time and people take shots at me. But to dedicate a half-hour video to me, I thought was a little bit odd and awkward. And even though I'm not the type of person to really fire back or do anything back, I had considered that, but it's honestly, I'm not sure, man. It's just not me. I'm more into like the gaming, and I don't want to like have to go do back and forth with people. Like maybe as you guys, some of my fans here, what do you think about that kind of stuff? Obviously, I think there comes a point where you turn the cheek, so many times, and you kind of just, you just kind of get tired of it eventually. You know what I mean? Like in my real life, I don't think that I would allow somebody to do that. So, I don't know. I appreciate it. And you know what? Listen, it kind of is what it is. Lily says, "Can anybody give me a reason to buy an Xbox with no games?" Well, here's the thing, right? I hear a lot of people talk about this, and I'll address it real quick. When you talk about Xbox Game Pass, right? Xbox Game Pass. I have to say this: Xbox Game Pass, sure, it's a value, but Xbox Game Pass is the absolute least valuable thing that you can do, right? It's the least value at the start of next generation, right? Think about that. Why is it the least valuable at the beginning of the next generation? Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you why. Because the games aren't going to be all next generation games in there. You're going to have a handful, sure, right? But out of the 100 plus games that are going to be in Game Pass at the start of next generation, maybe 10 or less are going to be next generation games, and none of them are going to be big AAA games. So you might think that Game Pass, and maybe it will be, right? Maybe that is the future. Maybe people are going to be doing that stuff. Maybe that's going to be what happens down the line. But at the launch of next generation, stuff like the Medium or Scorn or whatever, those aren't the big titles that I think most people think about when they think about purchasing a new console for a new generation, right? They want big AAA exclusives, and I still think that, that would be something that would maybe possibly come at a later date, right? Like the big games and stuff like that. But again, if you buy the Series S, you're talking $300 plus $180 for Ultimate Game Pass, so you're talking almost $500 right there. Plus, you're going to need something like Game Pass. Even if you do say Game Pass is great, how many games can you actually download onto the Series S? I really do think that that's something that that would be very interesting to sort of talk about and things like that. Like that to me would be a huge point. And to their credit, a game retailer has said that, and then they deleted the tweet that that Sony would have an announcement tomorrow on the PlayStation 5. Is that something that's actually going to happen still? You know what? I don't know. Does it really matter? I don't think so, to be honest with you. I at this particular point in time, I feel like, these companies, Sony is going to do, so they're going to do what they're going to do. Hey, as we get closer to 500 people watching live, please like the show, share it out. I would definitely appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Lorden says, "Crap you." I didn't know I had some fans. It's weird. I don't really go into comments often, but it is really nice to see that some people actually enjoy the stuff. To be honest with you, so I do appreciate it. Please like the video, share it out. No, listen, MJ, listen, it's fine. It's just, to be honest with you, when I first started doing this stuff, man, the amount of videos and stuff that people used to do about me, it was like unbelievable. And it's like, to me, to be honest with you, I didn't even think I'm not a relevant person in my own opinion in this whole YouTube stuff. So I was kind of surprised to see that somebody would even bother. To be honest with you, like, there's much bigger fish to fry. I have a small channel, and it's not like I'm like a huge view getter or anything like that. I've got, I'm very proud of what I do in terms of the subscribers and the fans that I do have, but it's not like I have some huge user base that somebody's gonna, draw in major views from making fun of me or taking shots at me. So Ben says, "Crap, do you know anything about PlayStation event? Like, is there any news to keep up?" Well, listen, I heard that there could be something announced tomorrow. Sony's probably scrambling to do something. FIFA93 says, For me, I only play one game on Xbox, Gears 5. Okay, man, listen, then that's for you, dude. I think that that's great. What do I think the game of the year is? I think that the game of the year is The Last of Us Part 2. so far that's like my opinion on it anyway. You know what I mean? The Last of Us 2, I feel like is probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and so that's what I'm talking about. So again, Microsoft, did they surprise anybody yesterday? No. They confirmed it, but this stuff. Look, listen. I've been saying, this stuff leaks for a long time. We get these type of leaks and stuff like that. It is an odd situation because at the same time that we get these leaks, it shouldn't come as a surprise, right? Because all this stuff gets pushed back. Look, Microsoft was going to announce this stuff earlier, but it got pushed back due to what's going on, the pandemic. Also, Sony and Microsoft are playing this kind of cat and mouse game with each other, so you have to kind of keep that in mind as well. At the end of the day, for whatever reason, and this is the funniest part to me, because Microsoft and Phil Spencer in particular keep saying, you know what? We're not in competition with anybody. We're not in competition with Sony. We're not in competition with them. We're doing our own thing. With that being said, I do feel like that they are actually in competition, and this kind of proves it. Does it? Like, you guys are smart in the chat. So Microsoft is saying we're not in competition, but then they come out with the second SKU to totally undercut the PlayStation 5, and they're not in competition. To me, I think it's clear that they're in competition. Right? It's more than clear that they're in competition. Is it something that, that's just how I feel about it. Let me see. Thanks for responding, Crap. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I'm going to keep doing me, whatever. It's like I had to basically start over with the channel, and I get it. A lot of people like to make fun or whatever. Listen, I figured that those days were done and over with, just due to the rules and stuff of YouTube, right? Like, yeah, and not only that, but here's the thing. For me personally, to get into personal attacks and stuff like that, I think that's sort of redundant if you're doing gaming videos, right? Like, especially to other people. Like, I can understand, like, if you have a problem with something Phil Spencer did or something that Jim Ryan did, you talk about that because there are people in the industry and you're talking about that. Man, I'm not in the industry. I'm just an average guy. I'm just talking about video games, I'm not out there trying, and I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm not out there harassing anybody. That's the thing that always gets to me with this whole situation, so I'm trying to do things just because they're fun or whatever, and I like talking about video games, and I'm very passionate about it, and I can do it, and I feel like I'm good at doing podcasts and stuff like that. So here's the thing, $2.99, that's a really good price. I do feel like that is something that's of a value to Microsoft. I've seen mixed messages about it so far, what we've seen on like Twitter and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll be able to see get some more like thoughts and stuff like that. The first thing that I want to, also the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was, it's very funny to me to see how people that are saying they're going to get an Xbox Series X, now they kind of backtrack and they love the Xbox Series S too. Like, and why that's funny, and I'll get to that, right? Because as an Xbox fan, right, I have to admit, when Xbox was losing NPD after NPD after NPD, that stung. That hurt a lot. I've got to be honest. It really did. And even though you say it doesn't, and maybe not to everybody, I can totally get it if some people go, hey, you know what? That doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It doesn't do this. It doesn't do that. I totally get that. I totally respect that. But as somebody who was a diehard Xbox fan, as somebody who loved Xbox, I tell you what, for me personally, it stung. It really did sting. I hated them losing NPD after NPD after NPD. Now, Xbox fans, the hardcore ones, and I have nothing but respect for Xbox fans as well. If, like, I even still got some, you might believe that, Xbox fans abandoned me and all this kind of stuff. That couldn't be further from the truth, right? It's honestly not true. So while some did and some moved on to others that only want to talk positive about Xbox, I personally am friends with a great number of Xbox fans who realized that I was trying to better the situation, and by talking about the lack of games and when are we going to get the AAAs and stuff like that, was trying to bring some attention to that. I wasn't trying to downplay Xbox or piss anybody off. Honestly, I wasn't. I like it. I like Xbox. I want Xbox to succeed. I want there to be exclusives. I want to get an Xbox Series X, but I need there to be a reason for me to do so. Okay? With that being said, like, the hypocritical part is the fact that Xbox fans, certain group of them say they don't care about sales, and they also say they're going to get an Xbox Series X. But then they're hyping the Xbox Series S as well. But why are they hyping the Series S? Because they think it's going to sell well, right? And for a group that doesn't care about sales, they suddenly flipped. And I get called a flip-flopper, right? But they all flipped, and they were like, this thing's going to sell huge. It's going to do really huge numbers. Like, to me, that was always sort of the ironic part about the whole situation because, you know, here they are talking about how sales don't matter. They're going to get a Series X, but they're also excited about the Series S because they think it's going to sell well. Will it sell well? Now, I don't really know if that's going to really sell well because we have to look at this. They're using the same strategy that they used for the last few years, where they had an Xbox One S for $299 and an Xbox One X for $499. How did that work out for Microsoft? You know, it didn't work out well at all. So we'll have to really, it's very going to be interesting. Mr. Tennis says, people love the drama. The gladiatorial games have begun. Yeah. TLR9, man, I got a shout out to you because you have always been really consistent, man, supporting the channel and stuff like that. You know, high times, low times, good times, bad times. I really do appreciate it. Like, anybody, shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, everybody in between. If you do watch the shows or whatever, I appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me. You guys are really fantastic. And I do appreciate it. Now, I don't want Xbox to fail. I see that a lot of people think that I want Xbox to fail. I really do think that Xbox, you know, obviously they're trying to come out and do something. Next Doc says the console only true exclusives is playing for Xbox Live. Xbox fans need to wake up. Xbox is not the console of options. It's the console of double standards. Next Doc, I also did get your message on PSN, and you were like, Next Doc messaged me on PSN, right? And he goes, you got to stop giving Microsoft your money. You got to vote with your wallet. And I just thought that was funny because, to be honest with you, I haven't bought an Xbox. I haven't bought an Xbox like game in a while. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people will gift me something on Xbox or whatever, or I have points or you know, or cards or whatever. But at the end of the day, basically, I'm not spending anything on Xbox. I'm not even paying for Xbox Live or Game Pass per se, right? Like, I had years of Xbox Live accrued past 2022, and they did that deal with $1 one-time upgrade all my remaining Xbox Live Gold to Ultimate Game Pass. So I'm not paying regularly on that. Literally, they've got $1 out of me over the last like 2.5 years. So it's not like they've gotten a ton from me. What's up, Jeff? What's up, everybody? Please hit the like button. Let's get over 200 likes. I would appreciate it. Ben Erickson says, I appreciate you for giving us the amazing content. I would love the channel. Keep up the amazing work. I appreciate it. Lily says, I have a quick question. Are they going to show gameplay on both systems side by side? I would doubt that. I doubt seriously that they're going to show any kind of gameplay on side by side. You probably have to look at you'll probably have to look at the situation with Digital Foundry. Hey, Next Doc, no, it's no worries, man. Like, Battletoads, to be honest with you, like I said, I had Game Pass, so it wasn't a super huge deal or anything like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't a huge deal at all. For me personally, I just felt like I'd better use it better than not, right? And also, I have to point out that when it comes to some of these games, if I'm going to be talking about them on podcasts, I feel like that I should try to be as informed as possible. So what I try to do is I'll at least try to give some of the games a chance. Now, Battletoads was something that wasn't a very long game. I beat it in 3.5 hours. And to be fair, it wasn't terrible. Like, the beat-em-up parts were actually kind of interesting and fun. The parts that weren't fun were the mini-games later on, right? But they did keep throwing achievements at me, so that did keep me vested a little bit longer than I would have, because I was about to give up at one point because some of the mini-games are just bad. Like, and so for the first third of the game, it's fun. You got beat-em-up parts and things like that. And then it gets to these weird, awkward parts where you're doing these mini games for the last 2/3, and then not even just mini games, but it switches from a beat 'em up to this platformer with some puzzles, and I just thought it got kind of boring and flat at those parts. So if they would have just kept doing the beat 'em ups and did some mini games here and there, and just kept the beat 'em up parts, that game would probably be an 8 or so, in my opinion. Instead, it's like a 6, and by the end you're just like, oh, thank goodness it's over or whatever. I really wanted the beat 'em up parts to continue going on, but it kind of is. Yeah, listen, I like the Ravens. It is what it is, man. I hear you. Like, I always talk trash to the Browns fans and to the Steelers fans and stuff like that. Lloyd Walters says Xbox Series S is a red herring. You probably are right. The reason why is because they obviously want people that want that to get like a foot in the door or whatever, right? That's just honestly the truth. They, like I said though, it's you have to look at things a little bit more than at the face value. When you look at this and you go, oh, okay, that's quite an expensive thing right there. $299. That's very reasonable, and it is, right? It is, but also, the thing that I worry about is the casual gamer, like somebody maybe buying something for their kids. It's just a digital system, right? And that could go for Sony as well. But the thing that I like about Sony's thing is they're doing it's the same console, just one with a disc drive, one without. Okay? That's an option. Like, I wish maybe that Microsoft would have just done Xbox Series X, one with a disc drive, one without. I feel like that'd be a lot less difficult and a lot easier to understand for a lot of people as well. Everybody hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Let's maybe try to get over 250 likes. I would appreciate that as well. Deadbeat says, real talk, I've never played Battletoads. Is it worth playing or no? Listen, if you want to rack up some easy achievements, it takes about, I think, hold on, let me think. It takes about 3.5 hours to beat, maybe 4 on normal mode. Then I think that's something, hey, go ahead and give that a try. Why not? Was anybody here shocked by the fact that the Xbox Series S was sort of announced the way it was? I certainly wasn't shocked. I feel like they did a pretty good job of letting, like, to me, this thing was almost like just like the situation with the Fable game, right? If you go back, was anybody shocked when Fable was announced? I mean, we've been hearing about Fable for multiple years, and so yeah, I wasn't shocked at all. I felt like, this was something that we knew was coming. We knew that they were going to announce this console, and at the same time, it is exactly what we thought it was, to quote that old line. It is what we thought it is. You know what I mean? They are who we thought they were. To me, it's exactly what we thought it was. We knew what it was going to be. Is it going to be a game changer? I think that's up for the individual. Is it going to really realistically hamper the PlayStation 5? Probably not. But, I say never say never. People can change. People, if they look at this I'm just looking at some of the comments on the announcements, and some people think that this is just a Series X without a disc drive, right? It's very clever. It's very maybe tricky by Microsoft, the way that they've done this, the way that they've worded this, okay? So people might think that this is just another situation where they're going to sort of be the same console. And people might come in for a little bit of shock. It might be a little bit of a shock when they realize it's not the same console. It's not the same thing. Hold on. And all the talk about the power narrative, according to Nexa, says the solid-state drive and the reason to buy an Xbox kind of just made the PS5 more ideal. They keep stepping on their own toes. Yeah, this is something that I feel like is going to happen. Listen, Microsoft they're not stupid. Microsoft, they might not be the smartest duck in the pond, but they're not stupid by any means. And what I mean by that is quite simple. If they can get this into people's houses, right? If you can get this into people's houses, if you can get people excited by this, get an Xbox into people's houses, get them to try Game Pass, then they got to upgrade. Maybe then they go into the ecosystem a little bit more. So it is genius in that aspect, right? The Finest says November 10th. Yeah, so we know that, again, we're probably going to be able to pre-order these things soon. So I would say that that's going to be something to kind of look forward to. Ohai says, "What's up with that design? It looks like a turntable or a or a Bunsen burner." Listen, I saw all like people doing the memes yesterday. Hilarious, right? The thing looks like a speaker at a drive-through. It looks like a boombox. Again, I feel like this is something that they went with the basic design. Okay, you could say that. To be honest with you, Sony and Microsoft went in two different directions when it came to their consoles. And I'm just being honest about that. Okay, Sony looks like they spent a lot of time with the PS5 developing it. It looks very next gen. It looks very sleek. It looks futuristic. And on the Xbox side, you get a box and you get something that looks a lot like an Xbox One S with very little, with that big hideous grill. Now, I did see, I think, shout out to Red Dragon. You guys might know him as a YouTuber. We follow each other on Twitter. I believe he created a design where they put the Xbox logo in the middle of that grill, and it looked much better. I think that grill, that big circular grill in the top, is something that's sort of taken away aesthetically. It makes it kind of an eyesore. But if you had some kind of design there, I think that it would make it look much, much better. Just in my humble opinion, I feel like that would be something that would absolutely look much, much better in that instance. Like, just in my opinion. Hey, everybody, as we get close to 600 people, please hit the like button. Maybe we can get up over 300 likes. I would appreciate it. Melvin, what's up? Okay, so SC says, what's the difference between Series S and the 1S all digital? Okay, so if you didn't know, the Xbox One S is a current gen console that's built off of, current gen technology, okay? The Series S is actually next generation architecture, that's actually going to be using the Zen processor, and it's going to be using, a lot of the next gen features. So again, this is the difference. Xbox One S is just a Xbox One. It's like the slimmer version with the 4K Blu-ray player. It does, it has struggles with games doing different resolutions, like 900p, and the frame rates are usually going to be 30 frames per second. Now, on this in particular, this is going to be utilizing a 512 gigabyte NVMe solid state drive. It's going to do 4K upscaling, 4K streaming. It does support DirectX ray tracing, though. So this is going to have ray tracing, the ultra-low latency. It's going to do the Xbox Velocity architecture, the same as the Xbox Series X. And it looks like it's going to be doing like all that kind of stuff, variable refresh rate, and variable rate shading. So it's going to be doing the next generation things that, that the Xbox Series X does, but it's going to do them to a little bit lesser extent. So here's the thing that I will say, and I'll be honest, and this is not me flip-flopping, as some of you guys might say, or doing it. Like, you want an honest opinion, I'll give it to you. If you know somebody that's just like maybe more of a casual gamer, or somebody that, 1440p, utilizing possibly DLSS, which the Xbox Series S has, it could work out very well for Microsoft. It could. Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. It very much could. Now, the games are going to be the real situation, okay? So they're touting this as a 1440p, 60 frames machine with up to 120 frames on some games. So the frame rates are going to be a big thing as next gen as well. So they're saying 60 to 120 frames on games on this, whereas the 1S is just usually 30, sometimes 60 on some games. Excuse me. Had to take a drink real quick just to sort of, do that. Dreamwalker says this live discussion is amazing. Please do it regularly. I try to do them when I can. I love podcasting because it's a good way to interact with fans and stuff like that. If you guys wouldn't mind, please just hit the like button, share it out. If you don't here's the thing. If you're looking to support a small channel like me, or any channel, like whoever your favorite YouTuber might be, or content creator might be, the best thing you can do is really just like it, to be honest with you. I'm honest with that. The best thing you can do is like it. that to me like helps out the channel tremendously. But if you haven't subscribed, you can become subscribe to the channel as well. You can also very much sort of get into what's going on and become a member of the channel. There's special perks to that with emojis and stuff like that. You got to hit the bell and turn on your notifications. That's a huge thing with YouTube, especially for mine. You'd be surprised. They give you analytics of how many subscribers actually get notifications from your content on any given video. Mine is like, so let me check and see how many subscribers I've got. I've got about 65,000 subscribers. So on any given random video, I might get 2% subscriber notification. That's incredibly low. And that's, and I feel like if you subscribe to my channel, you should get notified of the content. Like I want to be notified. If I subscribe to somebody, I want to be notified of their content. Okay, I want to be notified of the content like right away. That's why I subscribed. So the fact that they don't give people notifications kind of blows my mind a little bit. I wish that they would go and like give you notifications or whatever. But at the same time, it sort of is what it is. I really, I work hard at this stuff. Like a lot of people don't understand that, right? Like. I'll let you guys in on a little secret, right? And this is like, and I don't really tell people this much about what happened to me personally. I got hurt last year, and I lost the ability to walk. Okay, and I try to be honest with people, and I've shared a little bit of this before, but I haven't shared it with everybody. But I got hurt last year, and I lost the ability to walk. I thought that I would just walk it off eventually, to be honest with you, right? Like I tried staying off my. I ended up hurting some ligaments and stuff like that. I hurt myself really bad, and to the point where I finally had to give up and go to the hospital. And I was in the hospital for a long time, and then I was in a rehabilitation place for a while. In fact, I didn't do any videos at all in February of this year because I was in rehabilitation. I was in a living facility learning how to walk again. I was, to be honest with you guys, I was stuck in a wheelchair. It was like a super tough thing. I went through depression. I went through, I went through all the stuff that you would figure, right? And I get it. Like some of the haters are going to use this to make fun of me. That's fine. I get it. But that was like one of the toughest things I did. I was done with YouTube as far as I could tell. It was actually my wife who was like, if you're having fun with it and you want to do it, then do it. And I was like, nobody really cares about what I have to say anymore. You know what I mean? And she said basically, who cares? Just have fun with it. Do you and have fun with it. So, I started sort of doing it, and more recently, the funny thing was, even when I was hurt, I was doing videos, but I couldn't give it my all because I didn't have access to recording new footage, so I had to use the same footage over and over again, and I was really depressed, so I wasn't giving it my all. I wasn't having fun with gaming. I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and so everything kind of suffered, and now that's kind of turned around and stuff like that, and things have turned around a bit, and so it's been a lot better and stuff like that. But it's like, for me, I realize that I have not always come across as the best person. And I've said things that I've apologized for, and people probably know about that. But I also feel like I've changed for the better as a person. Like, I don't say things for shock value. I try not to make jokes at other people's expenses. I've literally apologized for every wrong thing I've ever done, and I've meant it 100%. Like, you can't be the same person. I can't be the same person that I was in 2014, 2015, because times change, and you know what? I'm 5-6 years older now, right? Like a new kid. I'm married. Like, I can't be that jerk that's making fun of somebody, that's flipping burgers or whatever. I can't do that. I don't want to do that anymore, okay? I like talking about video games. I like people. The most people can get on me is because I do funny titles or that clickbait. I get it, okay? Let me explain why I do that. It's not as cut and dry as you might think. When I started like really heavy doing Xbox videos, big sites like IGN and Game Informer, they would use these ridiculous titles like Microsoft forces you to upgrade or forces you to do to download 4K assets on Xbox One X, right? They would use these ridiculous over the top things, and I was like, I'm going to use that to my advantage and do it. So a lot of the times when I'm doing these titles and stuff, it's the news, but it's my opinion on the news that's mixed in with the title. So that's where it comes from. A lot of it's just tongue-in-cheek as well. Like, I am very appreciative. People like Wooly Gamer, you guys might see him on the comments sometimes, and he's a big supporter. He gets it, man. Like, and I see more and more people get it. I don't do it to miss. I honestly just do it because I enjoy doing the content. I enjoy doing, like, being funny. I enjoy entertaining. And that should never include, like, hurting other people, and I get that. I'm not soft. I'm not, a snowflake or anything like that. I just feel like life is tough enough. Look around at the world, what's going on, and, literally this whole year was wasted. Like, I come back from rehabilitation, and I'm able to do, and I can walk and stuff, and I'm happy. But you know what? I can't go anywhere, literally, because the world's on lockdown. So I feel like, and I don't know how many of you guys deal with stuff like depression or anxiety, but gaming is a great escape for me, right? So the fact that I feel like I've wasted a year of my life just relearning how to walk, and now like being stuck, not being able to really do anything, and when you go out, you're wearing a mask and you're doing all this stuff, it is tough. It is tough. So gaming has been a great haven for me, a great escape. And I gotta say, so when people say, you flip-flop the PlayStation for views, or did you guys not notice that I lost, 10,000 subscribers? That everybody that just does positive Xbox stuff, all their stuff went up while my stuff all went down. There was no bold strategy from me. I try to be as forthright as possible. I quit my podcast, Xbox Nation, a year and a half ago, and the reason wasn't some mysterious thing. The reason was I wasn't having fun with Xbox. I wasn't playing Xbox as much. How the hell am I going to sit there and do a podcast about Xbox and act like everything's good? That's why I quit it. There was anybody else with a brain would have kept doing it, okay? I didn't do that. Like, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want people, if you're going to watch my content, if you're going to like me as a YouTuber or a podcaster, like it because I've tried to be as fair as possible. Yes, I'm over the top with some of the stuff with Xbox, but I feel like, shouldn't everybody be pissed off that we haven't got a AAA exclusive from their first party in a year now? That we might not get one for 2 years, right? That if you're paying for Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years, that's $360, and you're not getting a single first-party AAA from Microsoft in that time. Like, why is it that I'm the bad guy for bringing this stuff up? I would love to know. All right? Like, how am I the bad guy? And people say that I'm a downer. I get it, man, because I tend to be depressed a little bit more. I tend to be that way, right? I tend to look at the negative. And I'm sorry for some of that sometimes. Honestly, I am. I get it sometimes. And I hate being the only one to be that way. But I look around, and some days I feel like I'm the only one talking about this stuff. And I'm so and it is just video games. I get it. But video games make me happy. Video games make a lot of people happy in this world. So I don't see why me talking about or wanting better should be a bad thing, right? I don't think that should be a bad thing. I think that me asking for better is a good thing. I feel like everybody should feel like they should be able to, as a consumer, go. And a lot of people don't go, well, just move on, crap. Just give Xbox up. Give up on Xbox and move. I don't want to give up on it. Why can't I have good games on there just like PlayStation? I don't say I want games that are exactly like PlayStation games. That'd be ridiculous, okay? I want games that are just great games all around, like not half-finished games. And I feel like I've pushed Microsoft for that, and I don't feel like it's a bad thing. Sure, I've made some jokes about it, but you're not going to catch me harassing people. You're not going to catch me like degrading people or personally attacking people. I just feel like that's kind of a chump move, right? That's like 2014, man. I like at some point, like I'm a football fan, and some of you guys are too. Sports, right? So I'll joke back and forth about how bad the Browns suck, or how bad the Steelers suck, or how bad the Bengals suck, or Cowboys, or whoever, the Patriots. Like, I'll go back and forth all day, and we can joke about this stuff, and it's funny to me, right? The thing is, it's not personal. It's just we're just fans, and we're at different ends of the spectrum. But I can respect you, and you can respect me. But there's got to be some kind of respect there. Like when I first started doing this stuff, Next Gen 720, shout out to that guy, gave me my shot. And I'm very thankful for that, and I'm very happy that I've met so many great fans. But at the end of the day, you know what I see on like my social media? Nobody was out there. Very few people out there hype up anything that I do, no matter how good of a take I have on something, right? Nobody's out there going, man, Crap Gamer really nailed it on this video, or wow, congratulations, Crap, you hit 65,000 subscribers. Like nobody does that. I see so many people do that for these other content creators, and to be honest with you, and it's not like people might go, oh well, it's not jealousy. Like I never have compared myself to anybody, because people do that to me all the time. They go, you're not as big as Dealer Gaming. You're not as big as Cold Eastwood. How does that make you feel? Rand Outdoor is better than you, Crap Gamer. How does that make you feel? Well, I don't really feel anything towards that, because I don't compare myself to those guys. It'd be idiotic to do that. Do those guys compare themselves to Linus Tech Tips, who's getting like 5 million video views? Like it'd be ridiculous to do that. Or Angry Video Game Nerd, who gets millions of views. Once you start comparing yourself to people, I feel like you'll lose yourself. And I never want to lose myself or who I am doing this stuff. So for me personally, I do what I do. And that's what I'm going to continue doing. If people don't like it, they don't have to watch it. It's just, I'm being honest. And I've got nothing against those guys. I never want to be down on somebody else's success. Okay? But I just feel like a lot of times people very unfairly try to compare me to everybody else. Okay, so I feel like there's better things to do than that, and for me personally, I just always felt like that was kind of ridiculous to do. I very much enjoy doing the things that I do, and I enjoy doing this stuff, and I enjoy doing YouTube, and I think it's fun. And as long as it's fun, I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm always, why should I have to go with the masses, what they want me to say, in order to keep them subscribed or to keep watching my stuff, right? Wouldn't that make me fake? And I'm not saying anybody else is fake. I'm just saying for me personally, right? For me to sit there and go, every move Xbox is making, great move, they're great, right? For me to do that, I would have to be incredibly fake, and I don't want to do that, okay? Like I can just be as honest as I can be, and I don't want to do that, and I do apologize for being maybe overtly negative. Honestly, I don't go into any podcast thinking I'm going to really take a dump on Xbox today. It's just sometimes I get really passionate about it, and then, I'm talking about this stuff, and when I'm talking about what's going on, and it just kind of comes out because some of that frustration is built up, right? And it just comes out, and sometimes I guess I shouldn't really apologize for that, but as far as I feel like I've come a long way in recognizing, hey, I was this huge fanboy, I shouldn't have been like that, I'm sorry, the games are the most important thing, that's what I should have focused on right from the get-go, but I let all this stuff get to me, because I got to be honest with you, when I first, and I stick by this, like when I first got an Xbox One, I was happy. Like people were making fun of me, people were making videos about me, people were making fun of Xbox, but you know what, man? I was playing hundreds of hours of Titanfall. I was playing hundreds of hours of Killer Instinct. I was playing, 50, 60 hours of Dead Rising 3. I was playing 100 plus hours of Forza Motorsport 5. Okay? I was playing games. I played, later on, I put, 50 hours in Sunset Overdrive, hundreds of hours in Forza Horizon 2 that came out in 2014, tons of hours into the Master Chief Collection that came out in 2014. I was happy because I had the games. People don't understand that. I have a hard time with Xbox now because of the lack of games. Yes, they've got hardware. I think the Xbox One X so far to date is the best console I've ever had. But it's the least console in terms of support from the first party. And I feel like that's, how can I sit there and hype that up and be happy about that when they literally cut that off? I feel like I never got my money's worth with that. I spent $550 with tax or close to it or whatever, and they've only supported it with new AAA titles, I think 2 or 3, 2 Forza games and a Gears of War game. That's all that's come out from the first party to support that in 3 years, right? And they haven't come out with a game in the last year. It upsets me, and I really am sorry that so many people kind of take offense to that or think that I'm trying to be negative or call me a fearmonger or whatever it is that the popular thing is to make to call people or whatever. So, honestly, that's sort of how I kind of look at things. And I'm not trying to get sympathy. I'm not trying to get anything like that. I'm just being me. I just want people to understand more about me. So maybe this will help people understand where I come from and why. Just I kind of do the things that I do. It's not for the reasons that you might think. Okay. Yes. Do I like exclusives? Absolutely. I think exclusive games are incredibly important to an ecosystem. Do I feel like Microsoft should have exclusives on their console? Absolutely. Do I feel like putting their exclusive games day and date with PC renders some of the reason to own an Xbox moot? Absolutely. Like, I feel like that's just the truth of the matter. Like, and it would happen to PlayStation as well. The second PlayStation would start putting stuff day and date on PC, it renders their console almost useless. I don't want to say useless because console gamers obviously are going to game on console, but it does take some of the identity away from it. Okay, and that's just a fact. Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't share some games with PC. Microsoft does that, and I'm fine with that. But I always felt like Gears of War in particular, much better as a console game. The minute they put that on PC, I felt like it lost something, and obviously the popularity of that game has kind of gone down, and it's just not looked at as that big thing. Halo, I think, makes sense on PC, right? Like, I'm not totally against that stuff, but I just think you gotta have something that really sells people on your hardware, your console. Okay? Why is it that Flight Simulator, Gears Tactics, Age of Empires are PC games? Because those appeal to PC. So why not make console games that can appeal to console, right? Like, listen, I hear people talk about Wasteland 3, right? And I'm not going to knock that game. It's not my type of game. But I do want to say that the way that a lot of people talk about that game makes it seem like it's something great, but it's more of a PC game, really. Yeah, it came out on Xbox as well, but honestly, those ISO RPGs are very much like PC games. And so, with that being said, I just find that to be pretty interesting all around. That so many people, and same with Flight Simulator and things like that. It's not that you know, I get that Microsoft is releasing games. Battletoads, Bleeding Edge, Tell Me Why, Wasteland 3, even though that's a multi-plat. They've released some games, and when I say it does sound like I'm just making excuses, and I get that, right? Because I can see that argument where you go, well, you're just not happy with anything they release. No, I just really like, and it's not that I just like AAA games. I just feel like you got to have a mix of games, right? I think it's great that Microsoft has broke out of that mold where, hey, all we do is have shooters and Halo and Gears. Okay, I think that's cool that they're doing more than that. But I think you have to have much more than that. If you're going to do that, you need to be out there and say, we've got, these other AAAs in addition to Halo, Gears, and these smaller AA's, okay? And I do feel like 2023, 2024 will be fantastic years for, for Xbox. And I've been on record as saying that. My point is, what reason is there to actually go out there and buy an Xbox this holiday? Like, that to me would be I would just love to know the reason behind that, right? Like, what reason would there to be actually to go out there and do that? I do think that some people might be swayed by this. I do think that Microsoft, go to them, they're going to give people options. Xbox Series S, $299 price point. That doesn't really shock me. It doesn't really surprise me because that's what we've been hearing about for a while now. I do just think that a lot of people probably don't really care either way because it comes down to the content. Like me personally, I'm a content creator, so there's a possibility I could want to get an X. I would never want to get the S because, like I said, I'm smarter than that. I know that. Listen, guys, I have over 1,000 games on 16 terabytes of hard drive space on my Xbox One X right now. 16 terabytes. Not full yet. I think I still have a terabyte or two left, but I have 1,000 games on there. So maybe a little bit more, maybe 1,015 or something. Okay? Think about that. Think about the amount of the way I go through games, the way I get games. think about how fast I would have to get these expansion slots for next generation. It's going to be a very expensive situation for me. Not everybody buys games like me, but with Game Pass, with Games with Gold, with PlayStation Plus, think of how fast your stuff is going to fill up. You're talking within a couple of months, it maybe sooner, of the release of these things, right? They're going to have to start releasing bigger versions of these things, but I think that the bigger versions of these things aren't going to come for a couple years because it's going to be too costly. They would cost more than the consoles themselves, okay? Which maybe shouldn't become too much of a surprise. Listen, I bought an official 8 terabyte Xbox. Or I bought 2 of these actually, but the first one that I bought was an official one. It says Xbox on it. It's a big white expandable hard drive. I think that was $200, or might have been something like $200. So again, you have to keep that in mind. And the solid state drive technology is much more expensive. So I spent $530 on an Xbox One X, and then $400 on expandable hard drive spaces for it. So again, like, you have to think about that going into next generation. It's going to be much more than what a lot of people actually think that it's going to be. Hey, everybody, hit the like button. I appreciate it. If everybody wants to ask some questions or whatever, I really do appreciate that as well. Also, you know what? I wanted to point out that, hold on. Somebody says 2023 PlayStation for life. Daniel, I appreciate that. No way will be a 1 terabyte under $100. Exactly, Nick. I feel like people are vastly underestimating the cost that these things are gonna offer, and I do feel like if tomorrow Sony does make an announcement that it's gonna be something, they have to make an announcement soon. I don't know how soon they have to make the announcement, but I do feel like they definitely have to come out with some kind of confirmation of something very soon. Obviously, we're at this point where Microsoft has now unwittingly had to announce their pricing for their console. Okay, so we know that $300 and $500 is the price of their console. We're probably going to get pre-orders soon. I feel like the first one to get pre-orders out there is going to be, kind of made in the shade, so to speak. That's something that people have to kind of keep in mind as well. And, at the end of the day, I just feel like Microsoft and Sony themselves have to do a better job of kind of communicating with fans. I do get that we're in this situation at a particular point in time where there's a pandemic going on, right? And how we're going to get these consoles. Are we going to be able to go get them at stores like we normally would at midnight? I honestly hope that's the case. I completely really do hope that that's the case. At the end of the day, that's going to be what this really kind of comes down to. Are we going to be able to go and get these? Are we going to have to wait? A lot of people go, well, why don't you just order it from Amazon or whatever? For me personally, I just feel like I'm not sure that's the way I want to go about getting something. A console, I don't really trust it, just because so far there's been things that I've ordered this year that have been delayed time and time again, like collector's editions of games and stuff like that, due to the fact of the ongoing situation, the pandemics and stuff like that. So I would much rather be able to go pick up my console, even if I got to do it the next day and not do the midnight launch, where I can just go in and pick it up. That would be much preferable to me than to rely on possibly, Microsoft or Sony actually shipping these things to me personally, just because that's how I am, you know what I mean? David Howard says, hey, Crap, do you play Fortnite? You know what, I've played Fortnite a few times or whatever. It's not really my bag, to be honest with you. I think that I get why it's fun, and I get why people like it, but for me personally, it's not exactly my favorite thing. So, excuse me, guys. I had to take a drink real quick. Doing a podcast by yourself or doing a live chat by yourself, man, can take a lot out of you. Arcade Studio says, I bought a 4 terabyte external drive for Sony for $150. It was a Western Digital. Yeah, I had to buy it up. I had to upgrade my PS4 hard drive as well, because I have something like 400 and some games on that as well. And again, you might go, oh, well, you got a lot more on Xbox. You got to remember, man, I was an Xbox fanboy for years. And not only that, but a lot of the games that I've been getting on PlayStation that take up most of that space, I would say majority are exclusives, VR, and that kind of stuff. But I will say this. Lately, because games have been so cheap on the PS4 and because backwards compatibility is a thing, which I am so thankful that both these consoles are going to be backwards compatible, because I got such a backlog, and it's like I got so many games I don't, and I want to play them. It's just I don't know if I'm going to have time, and they're still relevant. They have achievements and trophies, so I'm glad that next generation is going to be offering, backwards compatibility with the current generation. That's really impressive to me, and I just feel like, I'm not such a rush, and I can still buy games, right? Normally, if you're going into a next generation, like from the 360 or PS3 to PS4 and Xbox One, there was no backwards compatibility. So I stopped buying new games for the most part. I bought a few, but that year leading up to the launch, I didn't pretty much buy anything for 360 or PS3. I mean, it was very much, just a situation where I played what I already had because they weren't backwards compatible. Now it's like I've been buying third-party stuff on the PlayStation as well, just because I like the games. Like I bought the Batman Arkham Knight collection or whatever on PlayStation. I beat that years ago on Xbox, but I like it enough to get it on PlayStation as well and play through it again. Or Titanfall 2, I got that on PlayStation. I've had that. I beat that on Xbox and played through that when it launched. So I've been picking up these games for like $3, $4, $5. Mass Effect, Andromeda, I picked that up for like $3. Are you kidding me? Yeah. So yeah, I've been getting some incredible stuff on there as well. So it's been fantastic. Mog Wee says, I have a buddy who's an Xbox fanboy for years. Oh, come on, man. Next Stock says, crap, did you hear Phil said that if he cares about console sales, then why would he put his games on Steam, PC, and phones, which means exclusive matter? Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got to toe the corporate line. If you guys didn't know that, Phil Spencer has got to toe the corporate line, and their corporate line is getting games that are on everything, okay? They are very big into, let's just be real, call a spade here. They're very big into Azure. Azure is their thing, okay? And for the future of Azure or whatever, that's going to require them to do the games and game streaming and all that kind of stuff. So they're going to have to continue to do that. Like I'm just being honest with everybody. That's just how it's going to have to be. They're going to continue to do that, and they're going to, and that's probably going to be a pretty big success for them, And I do feel like I will never support game streaming as a way to overtake traditional stuff, right? If you're, I feel like that whole 2 billion gamer stuff is nonsense, and I'll tell you why. Because Microsoft's credo with the Xbox 360 was they wanted to get the Xbox 360 in people's living rooms to reach 1 billion gamers. That was their goal, right? They backtracked that. Of course they did. Of course they backtracked that. Then, with the Xbox One, they predicted that they would sell 200 million units. They ended up selling like 42 million, so slightly off, but they always set these weird goals, and I guess it's okay to have goals, but they always set these sort of goals and go, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We want to do this. We want to do that. At the same time, I feel like they're not going to really, in my opinion anyway. Listen, anything that I state is my opinion unless it's something factual to back it up. I just feel like that number that they keep referring to is wishful thinking. 2 billion gamers. Listen, the phone, that Samsung phone that they're trying to sell people, is an expensive phone, okay? Also, people keep telling me, well, 5G's coming. 5G's coming. I got to be honest with you. 5G in this area is like $350, $400 a month, and there's only one carrier of it. So, people that are talking up 5G and talking up cloud streaming, like the phone that you need, I mean, I guess you can do it on other phones. I get that. But the phone that they're hyping is what, like a $1,200 phone. Then you're talking about $180 a year for Game Pass Ultimate. And then you're talking about having 5G because, let's face it, the internet now isn't going to be indicative of supporting that. So, you have those types of situations coming out. So, again, from my perspective, my particular perspective, I feel like there's much more money that people would have to waste on that than there would just to get a console like the Series S. get the Series S, spend less money, play on your damn TV. You know, that's where these games are meant to be played. I always feel like people keep forgetting that these games are created to play on TVs, probably big screen. You know, you're talking 4K, all that kind of stuff, high frame rates. They're meant to be played on the TV. They're not meant to be played on little 5.5-inch screens. I'm sorry, they're not. You know, I get that the Switch is a success, but you want to know what's really a success? Nintendo's first-party games. Those are the real successful parts of everything, right? Like, honestly, I just feel like you know, that people kind of forget that, you know. And hey, as everybody's in here, man, please hit the like button, share it out. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have any questions or thoughts, please put them in the chat, and I'll AET says congrats on 65,000 subs. I appreciate it. Next Doc says your point about Xbox DRM is spot on. It's obvious that their vision is still intact, just repackaged with a bow as Game Pass and cloud streaming. Xbox wants you to rely on them to provide. Listen, if anybody that knows me or that follows my channel knows that I am like a gaming historian, right? I watched that High Score stuff on Netflix, was a great documentary. I loved like history of gaming. I grew up with gaming, right? I've been gaming since like 1986 with an NES was my first console. I believe in game preservation. If you guys know what game preservation is, obviously it's the ability to preserve games and continue to play them and things like that. If we ever get to a point where we are just streaming games, you are totally reliant on these companies to do so. Okay? You can't mod your games. You can't share your games. You can't trade your games. Like right now, think about how great we have it. Okay? I game share with my brother. Okay? That's 2 games that normally we would both have to pay for, but only one of us now has to pay for it, usually me. Okay? So think about that. They want to end all that stuff. They don't want used games. They don't want GameStop to sell used games. They don't want you to be able to trade in your games. They want people to be able to be reliant on them. Okay? Do you remember that last gen on the Xbox 360, if you, I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at something that I saw on Twitter. If you were to buy a game, right, and or a movie, let's say a movie. If you were to buy a movie on the on the Xbox 360, you were actually able to download it. I think on the PS3 as well. Now, if you buy a movie, you have to stream it off of there, right? So I have a bunch of movies off the Xbox movie store, or Xbox app, or whatever that is. But at the same time, it's a situation where, you know, I worry about that sometimes, right? Like, are they going to continue to support this going forward? Are we going to be able to, you know, will I lose all this content if they decide to go the way of Groove Music? Because remember, I had Groove Music for years. Like, I liked Groove Music. I thought it was cool. I used to listen to it when I would play Forza Horizon and stuff like that. Then they ended it. I had a Zune. They dropped support of that. Okay, like I worry about this stuff. You know, I'm a worrier. So when it comes to my content, I like the fact, and to be fair, it sounds a little hypocritical because I don't game without an internet connection anyway. Okay. And the main reason I do that is because you don't get your achievements or trophies offline. They won't pop. Supposedly you get them if you go back online, but to me it's like, you know, I don't really want to risk it. So if I don't have an internet connection, I won't game. But I at least want that option, you know, because it makes you feel good to be able to sit there and sort of be able to game and sort of do what you want to do with that. And that's the point that I sort of have coming back to it. So Sir Holmes says they still haven't shown any games running on Series S or Series X. Sony said we'll let our games do the talking. They probably know what's going on at Microsoft. They do. Listen, I want to say this real quick because I know a lot of you are PlayStation fans, and even if you're, you know, even if you do, right? Even if you do love PlayStation, I love PlayStation. You know, I don't get it into your mind that Sony's going to beat a $299 price point. Okay, you're setting yourself up for failure. Sony is no way going to beat a $299 price point. They don't have a gimped piece of hardware the way that Xbox does with the Series S. Okay? Sony went a different direction. Sony went with a huge console, a powerful console, a well-rounded console, and then one of in that same console without a disk drive, right? That's what they did. You know, smart move. It's smart for Microsoft to do a diskless version too. I just feel like it would have been smarter if it was the Series X. That was, you know, both of them were the same power. You know, maybe knock $100 off of it. But again, don't expect it. I fully expect $399 for the digital, $499 for the standard PS5. Now, if Sony really wants to get crazy with it, maybe go $449 for the PS5, $349 for the digital if they want to take a bigger loss up front. You know, but I think that it's a fool's game to get into trying to compete with that $299 price point because people are already going to buy PlayStation regardless. It's PlayStation, people. PlayStation. They're known for exclusives. They've got exclusive games. That means that they're relevant. I think that what they're doing is incredibly important, you know, that competition aspect. Sorry, I did have to take a drink there. Hey, everybody, if you're just joining me now, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I'm going to stick around a little bit longer. I'm going to take some questions and talk about it. If you are just joining me, much love, much appreciation. Listen, the Xbox Series S leaked late last night. The memes, hilarious. Please take a minute to consider subscribing while I'm telling you, I'm kind of recapping what's going on. Next Doc says, we as gamers must go where our gaming values lie. Being loyal to a corporation is dangerous. You cannot allow a company to tell you what you want and like. I agree 100%. 100%. I agree 100%. Maybe get us up over 400 likes, my friends. That would be fantastic. With that being said, I did want to kind of recap to the new people that maybe missed it this morning. The Xbox Series S, 100% confirmed by Microsoft themselves. They made it official, $299. It's the smallest Xbox ever, which is, you know, props to them for being able to accomplish that. This is a GPU which has 20 compute units clocked at 1.550 gigahertz. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see how this holiday works out. I think it's going to be funny to see how it works out, but I also feel like, Microsoft and Sony both kind of know what they're doing. Both of them obviously have something important to show. Like, it's going to come down to the games personally. But, again, this is a next-generation console by the term. They're touting it as a 1440p machine, up to 120 frames per second, which is funny because, check this out, people were saying that the PS5 was going to have trouble getting 60 frames, and yet here we are, a much, much less powerful Xbox Series S, and they're touting 120 frames. So, realistically, 1440p, probably going to get a lot of 60 frames. I could see them maybe getting 120 on something at maybe 1080p or a little bit less than 1080p. But again, thanks to DLSS machine learning, this could be a good option for somebody. I could see a budget-conscious gamer, could be a good option for you. I'm not going to lie. For me personally, you got to look at the custom 512 gigabyte solid-state drive. Think about that. How much is the OS? Let me see. How much hard drive space does the Xbox One OS take? Okay. So, what's funny is 138 gigs of storage capacity were reserved for the operating system for the Xbox One at launch. So, the Xbox One at launch was, you only had 362 usable gigs of memory. That's incredible to me, thinking about where we're at now, because remember, these things launched with 500 gigabyte hard drives. So, you literally only had 362 usable hard drive space on the Xbox One at launch. Now, with that being said, that could be the same situation with the Series S. You're looking at maybe just over 300 gigs of hard drive space after the OS and stuff like that. So that's something that you're going to have to take into consideration when buying it. Yes, $299 is incredibly cheap. Yes, it looks like it will probably be $100 cheaper than the PlayStation 5 digital, but keep in mind, you're going to need expanded storage. Yes, you're going to need expanded storage on the PlayStation 5 as well at some point, but at least 825 gigs is going to last you a little bit longer. I would say if you're going to give somebody an Xbox Series S, you better buy them an expansion card almost right away, especially if you're going to give them access to Game Pass, because it's going to take that much longer to actually go out there and fill that thing up. Like, again, that's, and I'm giving that from just an average gamer's opinion. I get it. Not everybody goes crazy and gets games as much as me, but at the same time, it's ridiculous to think that people wouldn't. You want to play Madden, you want to play Call of Duty, boop, your hard drive's filled up. Call of Duty right now is 200 gigs or whatever. That's an insane amount. Excuse me while I take a drink real quick. There we go. Yeah, I got a little bit of the dry throat going on, but yeah, you have to consider that. And even me, right? I'm a realistic person. I understand that not only am I getting a PS5, but I'm probably going to have to get some expanded memory for that almost right away as well, just because of the type of gamer I am, right? Like, whatever type of gamer you are, you have to keep in mind that for the future. Like, back in the day, it was funny because when I bought a PlayStation 2, you had to buy memory cards. When I bought my first Xbox, I was stupid and bought a memory card because I didn't realize that, oh, this thing has a built-in hard drive, so you didn't need a memory card, right? So it's one of those things where you didn't really know, and believe it or not, that was only an 8 gig hard drive in that original Xbox. That's crazy to think about, but going into next generation, file sizes are going to be large. Yes, the compression is going to help out quite a bit, but I do also feel like we're obviously going to have a situation where, Fun Creator says you drink like every 2 seconds, crap. Well, listen, you try to talk for an hour and a half and see how much time you have to drink. Honestly, if you guys didn't know, I live in Florida, and right now we're in the summer, and there's also a bit of a situation with allergies. I have some allergies, so lately, I've been coughing and sneezing a bit. It's not what you're thinking. It's not what you're thinking. No, it's not that. I just have allergies. So that really kind of happens as well. Daniel Carpenter says, why did Microsoft try to copy the Doom guy with Master Chief? As far as I know, Doom came out way before Halo. Man, I don't even know. Master Chief is cool. I like Halo. I hope that Halo comes back and Halo does well. For me personally, Halo 5 was a bit of a downturn. But at the same time, I do feel like they could come back from that. Could you guys do me a big favor and get me to 400 likes? There's over 400 people watching right now. There's over 350 likes. I would just really appreciate it. Make my day. Listen, I'm having kind of a rough day. If you guys could get me up over 400 likes, I would very much appreciate that. So, does this help? Does this help Xbox? I don't know if it helps Xbox. Does it hurt PlayStation? I don't really think that it hurts PlayStation. I think PlayStation is going to do well regardless. If you look at the place where PlayStation sells worldwide. I believe there's a 7 million gap in the United States between PS4 and Xbox One, and kudos to Microsoft for keeping it that way. I mean, 7 million is relatively close because you look at some of the other places. It's like, I think in the whole of Europe, it's like 25, 30 million difference. Like Sony really dominates at these other places. And so that's something that obviously Microsoft is going to have to keep in mind as well. I do realize that exactly 400 likes means $400 price point. To me, listen, guys, and this isn't fanboy stuff. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people that are going to podcast throughout the week about this stuff. Think of it logically. If you're going to buy an Xbox Series S based on it being $299, please take into consideration that you're going to have to buy that add-on pretty much right away. That's probably going to be $100, $150, maybe more. I don't know. But you're going to have to probably do that right away, which takes you right into the same price or past the digital PS5. Think about that. Just use your heads, people. If you know somebody that's like, wow, that's a steal, I'm going to get that for sure. Just make sure you let people know, hey, this is what's going on with that. You've got to keep that in mind because otherwise you're just kind of ignorant to the subject. And I know people are going to kind of gloss over the fact that it's such a small hard drive. I just want people to kind of be aware of that and to be smart about it because at the end of the day, that's all we got, man. As fans, is we got to kind of rely on each other to go out there and sort of let each other know, hey, what's going on. Like, I see people, I got texts from people this morning, right? And they're like, oh man, did you see this? And I got messages from people, did you see this? It's incredible. And I'm like, yeah, it's $2.99, it's cheap. And they're like, I'm gonna definitely get this now. And I'm like, well, how many games do you play? What games do you play? Well, I play, Call of Duty, and I play Apex, and I play Fortnite, and I play Madden, and, oh, okay, buddy. Well, you're going to have to buy this in addition to an expandable hard drive slot. And it's not just a typical hard drive. You can't just get a USB hard drive like what we have now. I wish, right? You can't do that, though. You have to buy the specific proprietary, excuse me, I have trouble saying that word sometimes. Out of all the words to have trouble saying, proprietary is the word that I have the most trouble with. It's ridiculous. But yeah, those tend to be more expensive. Like if you look at I'm going to look up a hard drive like right now. Hold on. Xbox 360. You know how old that is? 500 gigabyte hard disk drive. Okay. So you know how those are, right? Like even right now, a 500 gig hard drive is like $75 for an Xbox 360. Okay. Now, if I look at PlayStation Vita memory, that stuff is even more expensive. Like that was part of the reason that really killed the PlayStation Vita was because those memory cards were extremely expensive, like $100. Okay, so this is one like officially from Walmart. A 16 gig memory card is $62.99, right? A 32 gig is $90. Okay, 64 gig is almost $200. Like I'm looking at these prices right now. Like so, people, if you think that these things are going to be cheap next generation, you're going to be in for a little bit of a surprise and probably be a little bit upset. And I think that so please just be smart about this stuff. Like at the end of the day, be smart, keep everybody kind of in in the know, and help each other out. Like that's like everybody's got kind of does their own thing, and we have these situations where we're gamers, and I know all of us sort of have sort of one thing or the other, but be smart about what you're getting. Just because something looks good, look, the Cleveland Browns looked good on paper at the beginning of last year, didn't they? What did they end up doing? 6-10. Okay, so just because something looks good on paper, my friends, doesn't mean that it's going to be a good deal at the end of the day when you actually, got to buy it. So that's kind of my point when it comes like these kind of situations. Fun Creator says 1 terabyte expandable solid state drive is at least $130. I would say maybe on the that might be even on the low side, but yeah, like they're using this top of the line stuff, so it's good stuff. It is. It's really good stuff, but it's realistically expensive stuff. San Francisco says, don't you think the PS5 has to be $399 if the S is $299 and the X is $499? I think a version is going to be $399. The digital version, I feel like it'll be, okay? Let's see. Damien says, Crapgamer, but Sony don't respond and give zero info with PS5 and release date. Well, I don't think they have to just respond willy-nilly today. Hey, Justin Rios, I agree. The Vita is awesome. I have a Vita, okay? I think the Vita is a really good console, handheld. Actually, I think it's great. I have one. I have probably 20 games for it, but I'm always having to delete something and then put something on it because I didn't want to spend like $150 on the hard drive space. So yeah, like I guess I'm a little bit more of a casual or whatever, but listen, guys, I get it. You guys got to understand, man. I get it, right? I don't think I know what the title says. I'm going off of what I saw Xbox fanboys kind of saying this morning. Xbox Series X just destroyed the PS5. It's over for Sony. Like I disagree with that. Okay, I think that the PS5 is going to cream the Xbox. It doesn't matter because the Xbox is already doing exactly what they're doing next generation. They've been doing that for the past 3+ years. It honestly doesn't matter. Like no matter what Microsoft does. Hey, what's up, Chris? I appreciate you checking it out. Yeah, I think the Xbox Series S does look kind of bad. But again, just to stick up for it a little bit, I feel like I do feel like it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Just my honest opinion on that. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters is the games, and I feel like that's where Microsoft struggles to begin with as well. So hopefully, hopefully, hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying when I say that, right? Like it is just something that sort of happens. Hold on. Dat Striker says, I think next gen shouldn't be about choosing one console, get both. Listen, if you can get both, but listen to me, Striker, it's a very, very, very expensive proposition. Okay? Think about this. You're talking about, it looks like the Xbox Series, if you get the Xbox Series X, that's going to be $500 plus tax, so you figure $530. You figure the PS5 is going to be $530. You're looking at $1,100 just for the consoles themselves. Not to mention, you might need expanded storage, which could be another few $100. You're going to need games. Yes, you might throw Game Pass at me, but to get a year of Game Pass up front, you're looking at $180, and that they might not have the games that you want. Let's be real. Everybody's going to want Spider-Man, right? But even if you're a multi-plat gamer, you're going to have to pay the full price, the $70 or whatever for Call of Duty, or what have you. Whether you want to buy 2K or whether you want to buy Watch Dogs or whether you want to buy Assassin's Creed, you still are going to have to pay that money for the games that you actually want to play. So you have to kind of keep that in mind as well, sort of just going forward, the way that I think about it now anyway. Hey, Striker, I get you what you're saying with the Series S. Good luck with that. I'm just saying, keep in mind that you're going to need another expandable hard drive spot for that. That's probably going to put you at the cost of the Xbox Series X anyway. Okay? Like, that thing's probably going to be $150 for a 1 terabyte. Chris, come on, man. What's your deal with Spider-Man? You aren't interested in Spider-Man? I thought everybody liked Spider-Man. Hey, everybody hit the like button. I really appreciate everybody, coming out and supporting the stream and stuff today. A little bit. Like I said, man, if you guys ever deal with like depression or anything like that, it can be rough. It is. It can be a rough situation, and some days are better than others. This hasn't been exactly my best day in terms of that. But, I keep on chugging along. I keep on doing my thing, and hopefully, things get better. So I wanted to kind of cover this, and I thought what better time to do it. So I had some time, and I wanted to talk about it. If you guys are out there, like, how many of you in the chat right now are thinking about getting an Xbox Series S? I would love to, like, just kind of an idea. Like, where do you guys stand in the chat? Let me know if you're getting a Series S, a Series X, a PS5, or PS5 digital. Just type it in the chat. I would really love to know just what you guys think. Hold on. Austin says, let's be real. The PS5 and Xbox Series X will be good for different reasons. Just appreciate both for what they are. PS5, great single-player games. Xbox, great indie games on game. Well, listen, you can get indie games on everything, to be honest with you. Yeah, it is over 400 likes, man, so I am happy, but I just would say I would like to see what you guys were thinking about getting. I mean, let's just say for argument's sake, $399 for the digital PS5, $499 for the standard PS5. What do you guys think? Dude, I'm getting all in. I'm gonna hopefully go pick up my PS5 at launch at GameStop with my copy of Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't care what anybody says. People can call it DLC all they want. Man, I want to play that game. I like the first Spider-Man. I think it's fantastic. Tyriana says PS5 physical disc. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. O-Snake says that 2018 Spider-Man was trash. I don't know why people like it so much, but I'm interested in Miles Morales, or however it's spelled. I don't see why you think it's trash. I had to go back to it to really enjoy it. Like, when I first played it, I was like, I couldn't get to it. Like, the movements were a little bit weird and getting the buttons down. But I eventually did get it down and became pretty good at it. PS5. I see a lot of PS5s. Captain Swallow says, I had the first Xbox and traded all my games in it and got a free upgrade when the Xbox 360 came out and hated it. Went with Sony PS3, never went back. I only have I have over 700 games on PS3, PS4. I have 290 PS4 games. Yeah, so it sounds like you'd be PS5 all the way. For me personally, I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing the physical PS5 and the Xbox Series X if they give me a reason to get a Series X. Striker says, I'm very concerned with backwards compatibility, waiting for Sony to talk about it soon. I have 50 PS4 digital games. Well, Sony did confirm, by the way, that they were doing backwards compatibility on over 4,000 titles that are on the PS4 right now. So I wouldn't really look at it as, hey, you're not going to be able to play your games, because we've seen from various other outlets and some developers are saying if you got a game that more than one person bought, you're going to be able to play it on the PS5. Like if you own a PS4 game that more than one person bought, you're going to be able to play it on the PS5. I think that's something that you're going to have to kind of understand going forward as well. Like, they're not stupid. Sony obviously realizes that they have a huge install base with the PS4, and most of us have some kind of digital content. Okay, let's just be real. PlayStation Plus is a pretty good value. They give out pretty decent games, and so most of us are going to be able to take those games with us, and we're going to be able to see exactly kind of what the future holds with taking our games with us. So this was a really bad generation for Microsoft to lose. Okay, and the reason why I say it was a bad situation, a bad generation for Microsoft to lose, because unlike last gen, right, where Xbox 360 did exceedingly well, people had no problem abandoning the 360 and going to PS4 because, one, there was no backwards compatibility at launch anyway, so it didn't matter. And two, most people were still buying physical discs because you couldn't get games day and date digitally then, right? That didn't happen until this generation, like where you could get things. They used to call it on demand back then. Okay, so you couldn't get your games day and date, and that's something that a lot of people kind of have to remember. That happened this generation, where if you look at people that play on PlayStation, I believe like last term or last quarter, like 60% of people bought their games digitally. Now, a lot of that probably had to do with COVID and stuff like that, but at the same time, you realize that people have accrued these huge digital libraries, and they're not just going to give those up to go to the other company, especially given that the other company, Xbox in this case, has like literally no exclusives worthwhile, in my opinion. So yeah, it is going to be a strange situation, strange to see how it sort of how it works out, man. Now, if you can get both, sure, but if you can't, then I think just get whatever. Get whatever you can, get whatever you can. Whatever suits you. I'm never going to tell you what to buy. I can just give you my opinion on how I'm going to do things. Captain Swallow says the best thing that both companies are doing is crossplay. That's the biggest and greatest thing. Thanks for reading what I wrote. Love the channel. No, I appreciate it. Listen, there's no channel without you guys. Fun Creator says, I think the RTX 3080 hurt the Series X because till now the argument for Xbox was the most powerful, but after the RTX 3080, there is no reason to buy an Xbox. Listen, I think that the fact that Microsoft puts everything on Xbox day and date does in fact hurt the console, okay? Like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I feel like that does in fact hurt the console, and it is a bit of it sucks. Let's just be real. But at the same time, I also feel like Microsoft, if you're a console gamer like me, I will never play games on PC. Regardless, it's not, if you like gaming on PC, that's great. I just don't. I want to play games on a console. I want to have fun kind of doing my thing on a console. That's how I like to game. With that being said, if you like gaming on PC or you like gaming on a Switch or a tablet or whatever, then that's great. You're a gamer. I think gamers are gamers. Let's not dilute that fact. Yes, console wars are fun. Keep it respectful. Keep it non-personal. They're a lot of fun. We make jokes about it. We joke around with each other. There's memes everywhere. It's a lot of fun. Okay? But with that being said, the games are the most important thing. You really want to keep people excited. You want to keep people in your ecosystem. I personally do not see how, in my opinion, I don't see a lot of people that have given me a lot of reason to buy an Xbox Series X. And I certainly feel like Microsoft hasn't done a really good job of explaining why we need one. And the same thing with the Xbox Series S. I feel like that, somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat, shout out to you, that the Xbox Series S is really more of a Trojan horse, so to speak. What I mean by that is they get you in the door with that. Okay, you think it's a cheap price, $299, and then next thing you know, you're buying a $200 expansion card, and you're locked into Game Pass for 2 years for $360, and it's just an ongoing thing. Like, it's the way to get their foot in the door. So you have to kind of keep that in mind going forward. Like, that's the way that's how it's going to be. Honestly, that's what these companies want. They want their foot in the door. So in that aspect, Sony was pretty genius, or excuse me, Microsoft was pretty genius to have a console that's going to be $299, a next-gen console. Now, where does that leave the Xbox One S? Where does that leave this console in a few years? I don't know. Is it going to hold back the next-gen Xbox or the Xbox Series X? I don't know. Like, I'm not a developer. It does have the same architecture, basically, but it has much less memory and much less compute units, so you do have to scale to the lowest common denominator. So yeah, and plus they're still supporting the Xbox One for a couple years, so that could hamper the overall aesthetic and everything that we have going for us next generation. But how much, I think that remains to be seen. We really have to look and see what Sony's going to be doing as well. Like, I think all the games that we're getting this holiday, and listen, it's easy to poke fun of the Xbox. We've seen 0 new games running on Xbox Series X, right? Like, somebody pointed out that somebody did showed Minecraft or something, and I believe that person probably had like a debug unit or something like that. I don't know if that was an actual Series X or whatever, and we've seen some Gears of War 5, but those are old games. We've seen Minecraft, supposedly, but we have seen 0 footage of like a new next generation game running on this thing, even third party, which kind of makes you question the whole situation. Like, what's going on with that? What is Microsoft hiding? Are they hiding something? My gut says I doubt it. We've seen much more running on the PlayStation 5. It just so happens that the PlayStation 5 has a lot of marketing rights and things like that with big games, and so that's probably why we've seen it. I think that all the games that we're going to get this holiday are coming in hot. What do I mean by that? I mean, there could be some issues. Who knows, This is unprecedented times. It is a scary time as well, and developers are working from home. It means that there could be bugs, there could be issues, there could be lots of different situations to come up with these games, and so that's why we probably haven't seen as much gameplay as we would have liked. Realistically, just from my point of view, that's what I've been talking about. What do I think would be the best price for both PS5s? I think $399 for the digital, $499 for the extra one. If you wanted to ask me what my dream price would be for these things, I would say $399 for the physical PS5 and $299 for the digital, right? Like, if I was just going crazy, say, hey, Crap Gamer, give me a crazy number for the PlayStation 5. What would be your dream crazy numbers for the PS5? That would be it, because I feel like the PS5 is such a better console than the Series S that realistically it's going to do that much better. And I don't think it's going to matter at the end of the day, to be honest with you. I honestly don't think it's going to matter one bit. So hopefully, when we're all getting, our consoles next generation or whatever, we can kind of realize, hey, we're getting kind of a steal or whatever. I still think that the consoles like the Series X and the PS5 themselves, I still feel like those are consoles that are well worth the price and well worth the money that they're kind of delivering. So yeah, I'm very excited still, regardless of what's going on, and I hope that we get some incredible games to go along with this technology as well, because at the end of the day, I feel like the games are pretty much the most important thing. So hopefully we do get that, and hopefully we can continue to see some fantastic stuff. Because again, next generation should be about fun. Okay, next generation should be about the games, and I feel like that kind of gets lost a little bit, because a lot of Xbox fans are more focused on the specs because there aren't the games there. So I hope that we get the games faster, because I think 2023, 2024 is still quite a long ways away. We never know what's going to happen. Man, I want to play games as quickly as they can come out. I'm looking forward to Fable. If you ask me what one of my most anticipated games for next gen is, I tell you Fable. But if you ask me when it's coming out, my gut says 2023 late, or maybe even 2024. That's 3 or 4 years away. That's a long time, folks, and that's a little bit depressing to think about, I guess. But at the same time, I do feel like there are games to play in the meantime, like Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon Forbidden West. Looks like it's going to be really, it's going to be. It looks like it's probably going to be a really good game, and I do feel like, we'll just have to sort of wait and see. I'm very excited by next generation. Don't let it fool you. I do hope that it's. I do hope that, to be honest with you, that both these companies bring it. You know. Hey, I would like to know as well. I saw this on my timeline on Twitter. If the Xbox Series X eats monsters, what does the Xbox Series S eat? I don't know. But if you got an answer, give me an answer in the chat. Man, if you guys also got any kind of questions or anything like that, let me know. Let me know. I would just love to answer some questions and stuff like that, just because I feel like there's probably a lot to answer. And just while you're at it, hit the like button. I would appreciate that as well. Hold on. Do I think the PS5 event will be soon this month? Yes, I think we're going to get a PS5 event this month, folks. Lock it in. That's what CG says. That's what CG says. Yes, we're gonna be getting some kind of PlayStation 5 event this month. I would say definitely lock that in, because it's going to happen, and it's going to be a very exciting time to sort of think about. And at the end of the day, I'm excited for that. So yeah, definitely, I think that for sure. Gavin says liquid metal only costs a little more than thermal paste. Yeah, but it's much better than that. Xbox need to announce some launch window titles for the first quarter of 21. DJ, I am with you 100% right there. Where are the titles, man? Where's the launch games? Where's the exclusives? What are we getting? What's the point of the Xbox Series S or X at this particular juncture? I don't know, but I would love to know. I really would. Somebody says $4.99 digital edition. I think that's way too expensive. Mark Woodland says, crap, this gen's going to be amazing. Last gen, the consoles were already outdated due to the Jaguar CPU when they released. Yeah, I will agree to that. So, if you guys didn't know, at least we're getting some decent tech this gen. Regardless of where you go, or you get both or whatever, you have to keep in mind, even though we got next gen consoles in 2013, they were using technology from 2010. So here we are, like the Jaguar CPU, like those are already 10 years old, despite the fact that we're only in 2020. So, and nobody's using a Jaguar on a PC. Just being honest with you. Are you looking at the Vizio OLED? You mentioned you were going to buy an OLED. Okay, so I believe it's the CX, right? The LG. That one supports VSync. It supports 120 frames or 120 hertz at 4K. It's one of the only OLEDs to do that. So that's the one that I went with. So, in case anybody was wondering. Halo Craig says PS4 $99 Black Friday. You know what? I'm surprised. The PS4 itself never hit that $199 mark. Okay? Think about that. That's really the mark that the price point that casuals jump into next generation. And the fact that we haven't hit that mark yet really is kind of a weird thing to me. Anyway, I really do feel like, hey, we've kind of got this weird situation where we haven't really got that price point from either console per se. Like, I think we get that at holidays, but not during the rest of the year. So that is a little bit strange to me. Microsoft will make their money back with extended storage. Yeah, like I said, they're getting their foot in the door. Striker says, I think next-gen consoles are taking into consideration RTX 370 to $499 price. They want their consoles to be lower than that, don't you think? Well, listen, you could be right, but buying one card, okay, doesn't necessarily, there's more to that than building a PC. Now, what I will say is PlayStation has exclusives, so that's a reason to buy their console. Xbox, their exclusives are all on PC day and date. Now, with that even being said, you have to also take into consideration, if you want Ultimate Game Pass, which is Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass, that's $180 a year. Okay? So, the way that it was explained to me anyway, is you can get one of these cards or whatever and build a PC that's going to perform maybe even better than the Xbox Series X for like $1,000, $1,100. So if we take $500 for the Xbox Series X, and then we add 180 plus 180 plus 180 plus 180 plus 180, it equals $1,400. So if you buy an Xbox Series X for $500 and get Ultimate Game Pass for 5 years, that's $1,400. That's more money than you would spend building a PC that can actually play that better, to be honest with you. Also, if you want to add any kind of expansion in terms of the solid state drive, you're probably looking at another couple hundred, maybe $400 more. So you're looking at maybe $1,800 within the first 5 years of buying an Xbox Series X, just in terms of Game Pass Gold and the expansions and stuff like that. So that is something that a lot of people definitely have to keep in mind, just as we're kind of going along with that. You gotta just keep it real with that stuff. Oh yeah, a lot of people will talk about being able to buy these consoles from Microsoft, doing that deal where you can like all access or whatever. It's $25 a month for the Series S, $35 for the Series X. This is basically the same thing principle behind a credit card, right? You pay for something with a credit card and then you pay for it slowly off, until you pay it off. Is that a big deal? I don't know if that's so much a big deal. Daniel Carpenter says, do you think the PS5 will sell more than the PS2 did? I don't know if the PS5 will sell more than PS2. My prediction for the PS5 is 125 million in its lifetime. So I think it all depends also if we get, if we're going to get a situation where we do indeed get, excuse me, if we get a PS5 Pro, which I think could be likely. You didn't think that the PC players will buy games too. I don't know. Like, it depends on. Yusuf says, I'm seeing you coming back to Xbox. I don't think that. Listen, I never left Xbox. They left me. Right? Like, I play games, man. I want to play exclusives. I want to play big games. And the fact of the matter is, we haven't really seen a lot of that stuff from Microsoft lately. They've literally gone over a year now without any kind of AAA exclusive, and that sucks. I got to be honest with you. Neil says, I've got a 48-inch CX as well for monitor in office. I'm waiting for the QD OLED before I upgrade. Yeah, I had a heck of a time. If any of you guys are married or whatever. So imagine this. I'm like, yeah, honey, I got to get a new TV, and it's like $2,000, and then I also got to buy a PlayStation 5 and possibly an Xbox Series X. So that's going to be another $1,000. Can you imagine how that went over? Yeah, trust me. So, you know what I mean? And trust me, we're not rich or anything like that, but it's just like every 5, so years I've always done this. When I was playing Xbox PS2, I just had a standard, TV, tube TV or whatever. And then when the Xbox 360 came out, I got my first plasma screen TV. A little 720p, but man, did that TV get hot. It wasn't little TV. I think it was like a 40-inch or something. It was pretty cool, though. It lasted me a little bit. So every generation I upgrade. So I had that for my PS3 and my Xbox 360. Was really good picture and all that kind of stuff. And then when the Xbox One PS4 came out, I had a 1080p flat screen, LED. And then in 2016... when the Xbox One S came out, in preparation of the Xbox One X, I bought two 4K TVs, a Samsung KS8000 and a TCL something or other, but both of them like HDR, both of them, pretty good TVs for that. And now going into this next gen, obviously I wanted to go OLED, but I wanted to be able to, if games are supporting 120 hertz, I want to be able to experience that on my console and on my TV. So obviously I had to go with, a console that could, or a TV that could do that. So that was very important to me as well. Just kind of keeping that real or whatever. So, let's see. Any more questions? If you have a 4K TV, do you need HDMI cable to get the 4K quality? Yeah, there's 4K HDMI cables that you need. They have to be ready. HDMI 2.1 is the input you need on a TV to support 4K 120 hertz. There's not very many TVs that actually do that, guys. So keep your eye out. Just so you know, there's not a ton that support that. So trust me, I had to look. And then somebody had to kind of recommend that to me before I actually went out there and was able to say, hey, well, this is the TV that I'm going to get. PSVR does work with PS5. Yes, that's true. HDMI 2.1 gives you 120 frames. 2.0 doesn't. That is 100% true. Daniel Carpenter, your super chat. Hold on. Do you think the PS5 will sell more than the PS2 did? I did comment on that. I said no. I think the PS5 will sell 125 million. I think it's going to do extremely well. But I think that the main reason that the PS2 sold so well was simply because they had the cheapest DVD player around. And that's just, in my opinion, was incredible. Like, that's why I had a PS2 as well. Like, I didn't have to buy a DVD player. It was like, I had this and I didn't have a DVD player. So it was pretty cool to actually be able to have a DVD player. And like, to me, that was like the awesome thing. You know what I mean? Hey, this is awesome. I got, a DVD player and I can play video games on it too. This is great. So I really was like kind of infatuated with that. So I do think that that's probably why. That's one of the reasons why that sort of did such a good job with all that kind of stuff. So yeah, very, very interesting, to say the least. Let's see. Answer any more questions. Striker says, I'm not sure, but is it true next-gen games will be $70 or just some AAA games? Some are going to be that. Some aren't. Some have said we're not going to do that, which basically I get the feeling that it just means that people are going to wait and see. So I used to have an Xbox 360 back in the day, but I went to PS4 just for the exclusive content. Yeah, I can understand that. Exclusives sell. Exclusives matter for sure. Hey, Paul, I think both consoles will be amazing too. I'm not saying that. Eddie T says PS2 was lightning in a bottle. Absolutely, man. Right time, right price, right everything. One thing that I regret about the PS2 was it killed the Dreamcast, man. I absolutely love the Dreamcast and love Sega. And when they killed it off, oh man, such a bummer. Such a bummer because there were so many great things for there. It was really a great, it was a great console. I know it didn't have a DVD player or anything, but it was a really great console, and I miss it. I miss Sega in that whole kind of role or whatever, True that the Xbox Series X is completely destroyed. I don't know. I think the Xbox Series X will be fine. Did I buy Madden 21? No, I haven't bought Madden 21 yet. I want to get it. I'll get it. The problem is I already had a bunch of games to play, and I heard there was some issues with it and stuff like that. And I was going to wait till the updates come for the rosters because I like to play through the franchise, but I like it to be the accurate rosters. And so, I was just waiting around for that, to be honest with you. Is HDMI 2.0? I didn't know there was an HDMI 2.3. What will people say when Sony exclusives are available on PC? It's starting to happen already. Well, Sony actually commented on that and said that, they're not going to do that day and date. I mean, they're probably going to put some on there. They obviously are a hardware company, though, and they've already kind of commented on that. They've said, we're a hardware company. We believe in exclusives. We're going to put our games on the hardware. Where games make sense, we'll put them on PC later. But as long as they're doing it later, like I could foresee, I don't think we're going to see PS5 games on PC until maybe the end of next generation. Because I still think that the idea is you put Horizon Zero Dawn on PC this year and hope to entice people to buy a PlayStation 5 for the sequel next year. And then I think maybe you put God of War, the PS4 game, on PC a year before the next one comes out on PS5 to get people to try to get into your hardware and your ecosystem. That's what it's all about, in my personal opinion. I don't think we're close to ever being at a spot where they're going to do day and date because they're a hardware company. They need their games to sell and their exclusives to sell people on the consoles. So that's sort of the way I look at that, in my opinion anyway. Will I buy some 4K Ultra 8? Dude, I buy 4K Blu-ray movies all the time. And I'll tell you why. It's the best deal. If you, like, I got to be honest with you. So everybody knows I don't have the best internet, right? I can't stream 4K shows. I can't do it. I don't have the internet for it. It just it buffers all the time. So what I do is I buy a 4K Blu-ray, right, which costs the same as buying the 4K streamable thing, right? It's usually $20-25. If you buy the 4K Blu-ray, right, you get the 4K Blu-ray in it, so you get the 4K content. You also get the standard Blu-ray. You also get the digital copy that you can put on your movies anywhere or whatever. So that's what I do. I buy 4K Blu-rays all the time because you get 3 versions of the movie. It's the best deal that you can get. So yeah, to me, that's really great. I actually like that that sort of aspect of movies and stuff like that. I still have a pretty good collection of movies and things like that. So JB says, I kind of feel like having a 1X would be the best option since the Series S is just as powerful, but the beauty of the disc drive. Well, actually, dude, the 1S isn't as powerful. It's not. It's very much like a gimped console. So, you know, we do have some very interesting, like, don't be fooled by that, right? Like, I'm just being honest. Like, try not to be fooled. Indeed, it's not the same. It's not the same at all. The 1S is much less powerful than the 1X, than the Series X. Excuse me, the Series X and the Series S. They're completely different. And even the 1X doesn't have the next gen capabilities with the architecture and all that kind of stuff, and the CPU that it has. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind when you guys sort of are looking at getting a next gen console. I'm just being honest with you guys. So yeah, just keep that in mind, 100%. You know, I just want you guys to sort of always just be aware of that kind of stuff, you know, because so many people are, like I said, are probably going to get into a situation where, hey, let's get a Series X or whatever, and then you don't realize that you're also going to be stuck. You know, that you're going to be stuck doing stuff, you know, with that such a small hard drive, you know. So we did get the price. If you're just joining me, you're a little bit late. $299, release date November 10th. We did get the specs. It looks like they're going to be doing 20 compute units, 512 gigabyte solid state drive. You know, again, people want to know what's that mean for PlayStation 5. Probably nothing. You know, I don't think that affects the PlayStation 5 one iota. We'll have to see how it all works out. But I do think that, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see, indeed, how it's going to work out and just what it means to Sony and Microsoft. Hopefully, it means better games. That's my hope anyway. Any more questions? Which console design you most like? Which console design have I most liked? Oh man, I've liked a lot of console designs. Listen, I like remember the Xbox 360 E or S or whatever it is, the first like real shiny design. I love that design. I liked the Xbox One X design. I like the PS4 design. I like the Xbox One X design. I think it's very form factor. It looks like a console. If you ask me what I think about the Xbox Series S design, I don't like it so much, but it's just for playing games. Same thing with the Xbox Series X. It's just like a block. I don't think it looks very next gen, but I do think that it's, you know, it's a fine console. If the S does 1080p 60, then I'm fine with it. Halo, then you're gonna be fine with it, I think, you know. Let's see. Any more questions? What up, crap? Tell me. It's a done deal. PS5 all day. Like the channel, dude. I appreciate that, Steve. It means a lot. The 360S was the first one I bought. Yeah, Eddie. That was awesome. Like, I upgraded day one to that, and I got the Kinect. I know I'm evil. I bought the Kinect. I bought into that hype as well. You know, it wasn't good. Any more questions? Go ahead and ask some questions. I'm gonna, you know, stick around for a couple more minutes and answer them. I mean, you can't really go wrong. Whatever you guys want to spend your money on, spend your money on. I'm just saying, be aware that if you get an Xbox Series S, you're gonna need an expansion almost right away. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, and when you get that, depending on the price, this thing could be $150. You're creeping past the cost of a PS5 digital most likely. So just keep that in mind. What seems like a good deal might not end up being a good deal for you at the end of the day. Did I enjoy Metal Gear Rising? You know what? I only started it. I never actually got far into it. You know, I wish that I would have gotten a little bit further into it or whatever, but for some reason I just kind of got to play in other games and stuff like that. So I don't really know. You know, I don't really know. So hopefully, maybe one day I'll go back. Like I said, I've got a backlog. I actually own that game digitally, and it's backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So maybe one day I'll go and check it out. Actually, I've been playing Destroy All Humans lately, Tony Hawk 1 and 2, Avengers, and I'm so close to finishing Ghost of Tsushima, but that game is so long and I've been enjoying it and kind of spacing it out to try to enjoy it. Am I excited for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Not as much. I like probably the Arkham Knights or whatever that is seems a little bit more my speed. But I'm sure I'll probably like Justice League as well. I just wish like the characters outside of Harley Quinn don't really do much for me, to be honest with you. So hopefully we get some stuff. Manlink says, I think NVIDIA has destroyed both consoles. Well, listen, I'm a console gamer. I play consoles. I don't think that they destroyed anything. I have a PC, but I don't want to game on it. If you do, that's great. But I'm a console gamer. Plus, that PlayStation in particular has exclusives, and I'm very interested in playing the exclusives. And that, to me, that's a reason to own a PlayStation. So, Series S will struggle to hold 5 games or Call of Duty. Yeah, like Call of Duty, that's probably it. JD Gamer, what's up, man? How's it going? JD, what do you think about the Xbox Series S? I know you're a big Xbox fan, so I'm curious to see your kind of thoughts on it. For me personally, like I was saying earlier, I feel like it's a Trojan horse, and $299 sounds like a good price, but I feel like you're going to need an expansion to that right away, and you're going to have to pay that $150 or more to get that expansion, which is going to take you past the base price of probably the digital PS5. So again, I do feel like in a way Microsoft was good because they have that $299 price point they can tout, but I also think that it could also possibly be bad because, then people might not be aware of the extras that might be needed. So just my opinion. Let's see. Everyone talking so much, we don't even know the price of the PS5 digital yet. Yeah, but we didn't know the price of the Xbox Series S or the X, but most of us kind of guessed at the $499 and $299 price points. So I will say, like one of the negatives about the Series S and even the digital PS5 is you can't use backwards compatibility with discs. So everything that you had better had it on digital, or otherwise you got to buy it digitally again. So. Reclaimer says, hey, Crappy Boy, remember back in June you said the Lockhart was dead? I said I wasn't sure. That I've heard both things. I mean, it kind of is. It is kind of what it is. I mean, if you're going to remember that, then surely you remember when I said Sony was going to buy Insomniac Games. I mean, I was right about that. I mean, you could sit there and say that I was wrong about something. I always admit when I'm wrong about something. I have no problems with that. No, I'm going with the standard PS5. I've got over 100 physical PS5 games, but I do have 300 and something digital PS5 games. Do I play Fortnite? Is the new one coming out soon? No, I'm not really a Fortnite gamer. Like the kids play it and stuff, but I'm not really a Fortnite guy. I think it's an okay thing, but I just honestly think that it's not really my thing. I understand why it's so popular, though. Honestly, I do. I think that given Microsoft isn't trying to win a console war because they just want to sell services, I think this will sell a lot because the price is so important. Yeah, but again, JD, I would just like to point out that anybody that's really looking into getting a Series S should maybe slightly worry about getting that expansion too, because 512 gigabytes, plus you got to take out the OS, man, you might be looking at only 300 something gigs. That's not a lot. You might have to get one right away, right? So it's not just like a pick up and get it and then worry about it later. Like you could probably get a PS5 or an Xbox Series X and that, the 825 and the 1 GB will probably last you a little bit, but I feel like you almost need to get that expansion right away with the Series S, so it could be a different situation. Yeah, DJ, Xbox is doing a global launch for sure. So is Sony, supposedly. So we'll see, man. We'll see how these consoles line up and how they go head to head with each other. It's going to be very interesting to see how that works out. I'm very excited to see where it all lands. Where's it going to land? Paul says, I think that the Xbox Series S will sell a lot for the people that might be on a budget, but the 512 GB will not do a lot for most people. Exactly. That's been exactly kind of my point all along. It sort of is what it is. No offense to Sony or Microsoft. I just feel like that's an extremely low amount, in my opinion, anyway. So with that being said, it has been an incredible show. I might answer a couple more questions just to sort of, see what's going on, see how everybody's living, and then I got to get out of here. I heard the original PS4 for launch had with 500 gigs. I can't hold anything going into another generation. 500 gigs won't do. I agree. Dan White says, how's them dogs? Everybody's doing great, man. Dog's doing good. Looking at NVIDIA charts, cards are only about 60% faster and 30 flops, way more efficient. Yeah, I don't know much about the PC stuff. I do appreciate everybody coming out, though. Before you guys leave, go ahead and hit the like button. Tiana says, hey, Crapgamer, did you know at some point Microsoft could have bought Insomniac? Actually, Microsoft tried to buy Insomniac a couple of times. Insomniac didn't want to go to them. Insomniac wanted to stay independent, and then I guess eventually Sony offered them, a price they couldn't refuse. So yeah, like they did a good job with that. I think Insomniac and Sony make a lot of sense, and I do hope that Sunset Overdrive does live on eventually on the PlayStation, right? Like I don't know if that's an Xbox gamer type of game. I loved it, but I feel like if they remastered that game 4K 60 or something with HDR with all the DLC on PS5, they would probably find a much bigger audience, and maybe that franchise could actually live on. So that's what I would like to see anyway. Okay. Yeah, if there's a PS5 event, I will. Hardcore will care about solid state drives, but not casuals. Well, JD, they better care if they plan on playing like Call of Duty, because Call of Duty takes up 200 gigs by itself, man. So I do hope that, I hope that people are aware of this stuff. That's what I hope. With that being said, thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. Like the video. If you want to take a minute to consider subscribing, please do so. I would appreciate it. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Be good to one another. Rack them up and all that kind of good stuff. Game on, my friends. Game on. Peace out. Share it out. Love the land. Love each other. Love gaming. Have fun. Peace.